This podcast will hopefully contain words or statements of obscene, pornographic, or immoral character. You have been warned.
True. It's true. It's true.
The podcast. They soon will be making another one. The podcast. Talking about stuff that is really dumb. Get a bizarre perspective on deflated erections. Oh, yeah. On the
I have too much time.
Who knows what's in store? It's your drunk girlfriend puking on the floor.
Wow.
It's hot.
What a talent.
Potty Mouth Records Podcast.
Wow, you are fucking so dumb.
That's so fucking epically dumb. Perfect.
Shit. I mean, I definitely wasn't expecting that at all.
Wow.
Fucking awful. That's something else. That's something else. Well, I guess really this is just showcasing your hilarious ADD. You can't stick with like one intro for more than a week now.
Hey, It's pretty phenomenal.
I mean, it is pretty good. So episode 21, we have our first special guest. This is a man who needs no introduction, but we'll introduce him anyway.
They can't see him.
Yeah, they can't see him, so we will introduce him. But he's the human heavy metal Wikipedia page. And he is the man known as Lord Destroyer and our brother from another mother. This is Mr. Gene Cook is on the podcast today.
Hey.
Give a round of applause for Gene.
Thank you.
I'm all there.
So my main goal with having Gene on today is to hopefully get as many stories as possible that embarrass Curtis.
Oh, that's fucking phenomenal.
Sounds good. I'm game for that. I don't have too many though.
Oh, come on now.
They're not really embarrassing though.
Well,
I just did a lot of stupid shit, I think.
He did.
I think really my first, and when we don't have to like stay on this kind of stuff for the whole time or anything, but just to kind of start things off, one of the things that I am genuinely curious about that I actually don't know that I think is like good for history perspective is just like when you guys actually like first met and
Oh, I got that.
And like what you remember about that and like why did that happen?
Why did it happen?
Because you had other people to choose from.
We were in the same grade in school.
Yeah.
So we met at Springfield Middle.
Oh my Lord.
And
yes, I say it a lot, Dave. Fuck off.
Yes, he did say it. There you go. The thing that stands out the most is Curtis this would have been 85. And Curtis was obsessed with Wonderful by the Circle Jerks.
Okay.
And I was obsessed with Live After Death from Iron Maiden.
This was even more strange, the reason why you wanted to hang out with him, because he hated Iron Maiden.
It wasn't that I wanted to hang out. It was I wanted to argue with him about how awesome Live After was.
And that's you know how not true that is.
So anyway, the Circle Jerks thing, I hadn't heard much punk rock up to that point. First, like really punk rock thing I bought, Rock for Light on cassette, which has the alternate recordings that are way better than anything else. Rock for Light cassette version. And I opened it and listened to it before I gave it to him to see if it was punk rock enough. And I was like, holy shit. And then I was like, this is pretty cool. Fast. And I was like, wow, this is pretty neat. And then the reggae came on. And I'm like, I actually liked it. But I didn't know reggae too much more than like
Glitch? Who you calling a glitch?
You got Rock for Light and you listened to it first and you realized this was pretty good.
Yes.
And then did you then like bring it to school and be like, hey, check this out?
No, I gave it to my brother, and we kind of really just didn't really go anywhere as far as punk rock went at the time, because I was so into metal at that point. I mean, in '83, I wanted to be Kevin DeBrau so bad. Like, Pride were like the shit to me. And like me and Jamie Cave were like so into that stuff. And then, I mean, when it got into the glammy shit, of course, I was gone. But I do remember Chris and I argue back and forth. And you had it on vinyl.
Did I?
Yes.
Fuck.
And you actually let me borrow it because you were so obsessed with me wanting to like that band. And
you're talking about Wonderful now.
I'm talking about Wonderful now. Yeah.
Where the fuck did that go?
I don't know, dude. You apparently had a lot of shit that you don't realize, because like I mentioned earlier off the show, obviously, that you had that Madball Dropping Many Suckers 7-inch, and I taped it off of you. Where did that go?
I think is in not in the basement, because everything in the basement got fucked up.
Was that the first one, or was it? What was the first?
No, the first one was
Ball Destruction or something.
Yes, Ball Destruction.
That's the one I'm talking about. When Freddie was like 14.
Yeah, right. That I have. I taped that off of you. Gavin might have it upstairs,
okay,
but
so you still have that. But I remember I dubbed that last Misfits show off of you, Halloween in Detroit, '83.
I think I still have that. Maybe. Yes.
I still have the dub of that. But anyway, I never influenced you on Iron Maiden at all. And I sure as fuck wasn't going to give you my gatefold with the poster and all that, because I just knew Kurt. I knew well enough that I'm not going to loan you anything.
Nice. Jesus Christ.
So you guys were sitting at the lunch table together, but I even want to go like even a little bit back further than that, if you can recall, like what was even because Curtis and I have talked about this on the podcast before, how like everyone kind of goes to different elementary schools. And then when you get to middle school is when you're getting intermixed with like kids you've never met before.
It's skating.
So like he looked like he sat at the skater table. And so you were
we didn't even look like skaters. I mean, I had a Nash Executioner.
Yeah.
My Veriflex.
And I used to bring it. We were allowed to bring them to school. I remember I was in music class or homeroom.
Okay.
And Rich Hannon was in my class. We had Mrs. Smith, our music teacher, was our homeroom teacher. And I brought that neon green Executioner in.
Sweet. That's what I had.
I don't remember Kurt's board. He said Veriflex, right?
Yeah.
Which is a step up above Nash.
That was fucking pure luck.
Yeah.
It was not by any. That's
what really started that. And like Carl would wear his jams and like every day. And it was a slow process, but I don't remember the whole process.
Yeah. But it was basically rooted in like someone saw a skateboard and was like, hey, I do that too, kind of a thing. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's how Tim Afer and I became such good friends, because he was a humongous Maiden fan and he had a ton of metal records already.
Oh, wow. All right. So that was like 6th grade. So then like, that was kind of like the more of the origin story that I was curious in like knowing about. It was just that exact like meeting and just how that, so then just from there, just kind of developed and you guys just always remained friends throughout then.
Well, but you got to remember Curtis was on an island where he lived. And we were in Lakeside with 380 trailers.
Yeah.
And probably double that in latchkey kids. So we had our own neighborhood. I mean, we had Gary Myers, we had Brian Boyer, Danny and Dustin came over a couple times and rode freestyle bikes with us. I mean, that's another thing, the freestyle thing, because I got my CW.
Do you still have it?
I have a replica. I'm looking at it right now. It's in my living room. The only thing different about this one, it's a real nice survivor bike that I found years and years ago, is it doesn't have those super rare CW dual peg forks. that only are on literally a handful. I can't even hardly find pictures. Apparently they were stupid rare, only did them for a little while. And the fact is mine's such a late 85, early 86, that it was a transition from the stationary platforms on the rear dropouts to the pegs.
Oh.
My brother and I had matching bikes. They were just flip-flop colors, white and lavender. I have a lavender frame, white accessories. His was the opposite. Both of them had those forks. They both came from the same store in California. And I've yet to see, I mean, I was a member of, I raced for oldschoolbmx.com for years and went to a lot of their races and gatherings and stuff, and nobody saw those.
That's fucking crazy.
And as far as I know, there was only one other guy here in this area that had a CW, and it was some kid in Williamsport that had a lime green one. I seen him every once in a while, but I don't know if he was older than we were, or he went to West Virginia maybe, or.
I'm trying to think who that would have been.
So yeah, well, anyway, the freestyling thing helped too, because Kurt actually emceed our freestyle show at
this is so fucking repulsive.
Springfield in the gym, and that would have been 85 or 86.
That is hilarious.
It was the end of the school year because we always rode our bikes the last day of school, and then there was nothing else going on last day, and they let us do that. So Kurt like emceed and played music while me, Danny, Dustin, Rich Hannon.
Were we missing any?
I don't think my brother was in.
I don't think he was there yet.
He wasn't there yet.
Because he would have been in like fifth grade or fifth, and I would have been in fourth grade if you guys were in eighth.
No, this was seventh grade.
Oh shit.
It may have been into seventh grade. All I remember is is Dustin pulled off a cherry picker, and that was just like,
yeah, boy.
That was like the coolest trick, if you could.
He got into him so weird, and like I didn't realize it. We are totally going off the rails with this, but I didn't realize it until somebody said something to him, because he did that weird way where he came up and over it and like pulled the bike straight from like straight from the ground and got into it. Yeah, and where everybody else like endos and then pops up and goes over the top.
Right.
But it was like,
when you think about that, for his size to be able to yank that bike off the ground and basically like mount a horse.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I sucked at it, and skateboarding I was absolutely fucking terrible at. I gave that up real quick because I beat the living dog shit out of my ankles because I was just not good. My brother was pretty good, but we used to build all these kick turn ramps because our dad was a carpenter, so we could get all the lumber we wanted, and we would build them, and the fucking maintenance guy at Lakeside would fucking load them up at the middle of the night and haul them off. We're like, fuck, we went through all that work to build these awesome ramps, and this dickhead's hauling them away. His name was Percy. He was just fucking drunk and pissed his pants all the time. I mean, the dude was a mess. And
why was he taking the ramps?
Because they were in a parking place, because he thought he was the boss of the place, but he was just a maintenance dude. But literally, I had this neighbor named Yvonne. She kicked him so hard in the nuts one time that he pissed his pants soaked him.
Well, dude, okay, so I want to backtrack a tiny bit too, because you made a comment that really stood out to me when you said about like Curtis like living on an island. Yeah. And that really makes sense, because it's so funny to think about the perspective being an adult of like, where Curtis and I sort of grew up was like maybe a 10-minute drive to Lakeside. But when you're a little kid and you don't drive yet, that's like really far.
Yeah.
I have mentioned on previous podcasts of when I was younger and was like scared to go to the mall because of like scary like Hesh dudes and stuff hanging out and like whatever. Like, it's funny because I knew that a lot of those people like lived in Lakeside.
Yeah.
And I remember that when I started hanging out with your brother and stuff and Brian and all those guys in middle school, that there was a lot of skating action going on in Lakeside on the weekends. And I always wanted to go over there, but like, as dumb as this sounds, I didn't know how to get to Lakeside because it was seriously like getting to Lakeside was like a fucking Lord of the Rings quest when I was a kid. Cause it's like, people were like, you gotta like walk the railroad tracks to like this
Yes.
certain point, and then you like turn back these dirt trails, and you'll see like mattresses on the ground, and you like keep following that. And I was like, what the fuck? I'm like, I'm not going to do that by
City?
myself.
The tunnels, dude. You took the tunnels.
Yeah,
see, I didn't do that. I ran across the highway when I went to see my dad.
Dude, I did that too. We said fuck the tunnels one day. So we went down there was that paved road that went down to the interstate, because you can see Lakeside from the interstate, and we were going to the mall. So it was me, my brother, and Gary Myers. And we got our skateboards, and on Sundays, the mall was closed. So you could go up there and tear up their curbs. So I had this, you remember the store Helen Gallagher's?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. You know, they used to always have cool like black light posters and all that shit, you know. Well, they had an Iron Maiden Peace of Mind painter's cap. You remember painter's cap?
Yeah.
Okay. So I had this black Peace of Mind painter's cap. So we get to the edge of the highway, right? We got our skateboards. And so like we see it clear, right? We take off running. Well, the tractor trailer goes by and we take off running. Okay. Not realizing that the gust of wind follows the tractor trailer at 70 miles an hour, a few feet behind it, you know? So Gary and Bob are faster than me. So they're across. My hat blows off and blows, of course, in the direction of the tractor trailer. What the fuck do?
You gotta chase that bitch.
Chase that bitch up the middle of the interstate.
Jesus.
And I finally catch up to it. And for some reason, like everything went in like super slow motion. I look over and my brother and Gary are standing in the median and they're jumping up and down, waving their arms and screaming, get out of there. And about that time, dude, I turned around and I was staring at the front of a cab over, you know, flat nose tractor trailer. And I literally rolled into the median strip to keep from getting hit by this guy.
Jesus,
oh my
dude.
God.
Now, how much do I love Iron Maiden? Willing to risk my life for that hat.
Damn.
No.
And that's I'm assuming that's 81.
Yeah.
No. 80,
No, the A1, the highway.
81 highway. Yeah. Interstate,
Yeah.
right. You could literally run straight across the highway from the abandoned road at Lakeside that went by Terry Pike's house and go through the fence, run across the lanes, and you were on Cole Road.
Mm-hmm.
Remember Cole Road ran behind the mall?
Yeah, I remember that.
You were there. You were at the mall in no time. If you did the tunnels, you had to go down to the middle of Lakeside and through the tunnels, which was the drainage ditches under the interstate.
I don't think I actually knew there were tunnels
Yeah,
there.
I don't remember ever
Oh, you
seeing.
want to talk about sketchy?
Okay, well, see, this is great because I didn't know. I was given probably the directions that were given to me were to go like the freeway thing, and maybe I remember even being like, I'm not fucking doing that. I didn't even know about there being tunnels. So if I would have been told the tunnels route, that would have been even more like, I'm never going to do that. Because what's crazy, I wanted to go to Lakeside so bad to like skate with your brother and people like that. And I didn't know how to get there. And I think the first time I was ever in Lakeside in my entire life wasn't until I was probably about 15 years old, was Boyer picking me up and like going to his house for the first time. That was like the first time I was ever in Lakeside.
Right, and he lived a rock story from us.
Yeah, exactly. So I just, like, as dumb as it sounds, the first time I went over there, it was like, like been wanting to get to Lakeside for like years. And like, I finally got to go there.
Yeah. And did you go to Hickory, Jonathan?
No, I went to Fountain Rock.
See, if you would have went to Hickory, you would have known about the tunnels because Curtis, I don't know where you went to Williamsport, didn't you?
Yeah.
Lakeside was wild, dude. Back then, I mean, our bikes were constantly getting stolen by the Manor kids. The West kids coming over, and we were fighting with them all the time. I remember this one time, man, the West End kids were, you know, we had what was called backtrack, all the dirt trails that we had that people would come from all over to ride a motorcycle and bikes on later for the trucks.
Well, I knew about the dirt trails because that's like part of how I was told to get there.
Right. Well, the dirt trails are on the opposite side of Lakeside. That's where the train tracks are.
Okay.
Oh, anyway, these West End kids would come over and like put nail boards up and like fuck up our trails and flatten tires and all that. So we caught this group of 3 of them one time, and it was me and I think it was Gary Myers and my brother. So we're like chasing them, and they start running up the big entrance hill to Lakeside. And the 2 of them were like super fast and they were gone, but the other kid, he was gassed. And my brother was like super cross country runner, so he was sick fast.
Yeah.
Caught the kid. As soon as the kid turns around, haymaker, nailed my brother right in the face.
Oh, really?
and down he went. I was like, holy shit.
Down goes Frazier.
Yeah. So Digging and Rigging was right there, the crane company. I don't even know how this guy he was there instantly and was like breaking it up. And my brother wanted to hit that kid. So the dude just like told him to go on, and we had to like go back home. But it was every wiffle ball game, every football game, it turned into a fist fight because there was too many rednecks. And then all of us, the skater guys, it just never, we all played together, but it never worked out in the end.
This just is great proof that my intuition to like stay away from there when I was too young was a good idea, because I probably would have like showed up by myself and people would have been like eyeballing me. I probably got the shit kicked out of me for just like walking through there.
Well, every one of us got beat up at some point in time, but the thing is you laughed about it afterwards.
Yeah.
But we had when I moved in 76. And
How the fuck do you remember that?
I don't know where I moved when I was, 4 years old, because I broke my arm instantly when I moved in there. Because, my parents gave me a bicycle. I was 4. And I don't know if you remember back then, guys, it was all constant pedal. The little bikes didn't have coaster brakes or handbrakes. Mm-hmm. So I decided to go to the top of Oakley Way where I live and I told my cousin, Alicia, I said, watch this. And I go down the hill. Well, I didn't realize my legs couldn't go as fast as what those pedals could.
Oh my God.
And I object fixated right on the back of my dad's 77 Ford pickup and snapped my left arm right in half. Big time.
Oh,
it was so obvious that bitch was fucked. And I didn't cry or anything because my mom loves that story. It's like, I just went into the kitchen and showed it to her. And she's like, oh my God. She saw my arm making an S.
That's a pretty gnarly injury for like a 4-year-old.
Yeah. It was, and I didn't cry one time. I went in the hospital. We were talking about it this morning, as a matter of fact. She's like, you were so cold and shivering in there. And so they put the cast on and everything. And the only time I cried, I'm 4 years old now, was when they took that fucking saw and they went to cut it off.
Oh, dude, that scares the shit out of you.
Yeah, my dad was a carpenter, and I watched him use chainsaws, skill saws, reciprocating saws, every kind of saw and what it could do. And they're going to saw this cast off my arm. And he kept putting it on my skin, showing me it's not going to hurt you. I didn't give a shit. I did not want part of it. And mom's like, I don't remember that, but so yeah, I moved there. That's when I moved there in 76. And there was this whole gang of older kids, obviously. And I remember all of them: Tom, Dave, Kendra, Brian Boyer's brother, Monty. Randy,
I met Monty like once or so, if I remember him.
Yeah. Jeff Flook, Jackie Flook, all these older dudes, and they were all straight up arena rock, like, that crowd, they were Boston and AC/DC and shit like that. And they used to have these ripping ass parties, backtracks. They'd pitch tents, and we were constantly trying to like get into all their shit, But they were, for the most part, pretty cool to us. But like, we learned how that the neighborhood was by them, and we just carried it on with the next generation: Wayne Newland, Travis Newland, me, Brian Boyer, Brian Higgins. Buck Moats, Darren Moats, Mark Moats. We just carried it on, maybe to the extent that they did. Certain people, at our bus stop, we had this humongous rock across the street. And before the bus showed up, we had 2 bus stops, and that was the bottom bus stop. Before anybody showed up, before the bus showed up, certain members of the neighborhood were behind that rock blazing away out of cans. And I'm gonna name names.
Oh my God.
But it was pretty rowdy. And like I said, most of us were like,
wait, hold on a second. You mean to tell me that there were teenage kids in a trailer park smoking weed out of a can? I don't believe that.
Isn't that shocking as hell? That their parents probably bought the weed for them. I mean,
oh my God.
Yeah, or stole it from their parents for sure.
Yeah, but yeah, it was fun growing up. At the time, like, I'll be honest with you, man, like between the manor and Lakeside, we were embarrassed to live there because everybody thought you were poor. We moved from Pennsylvania there, and it was supposed to be like a short-term thing, but we just ended up staying. And now I wouldn't trade it for the world, dude. I mean, I could do a podcast on Lakeside.
Yeah. I would listen to that too.
Dude, I would be so many episodes in and still have the most ridiculous stories. You would never even believe half the shit that I've seen.
Well, you know, it's really funny too that you said that you were that you guys were like embarrassed or whatever to be from there. And for me, my perception of everyone I knew from Lakeside, that's like where all the people that I thought were cool lived. So it's like, I didn't like, to me, I had no perception of it being like where like quote unquote poor people lived at all. I was like, I don't know. Maybe it's just like my upbringing. I mean, neither one of my families were rich or anything.
Right.
So
right.
To me, it just like, that's just where people live. Like, I didn't see it as that was like a poor place at all.
Well, the real kicker was it wasn't cheap to live there.
Yeah.
It was actually,
I don't think it was. Yeah.
No, it was planned as a retirement community. And they realized they weren't selling the lot or renting. It was rent. You didn't buy the lot, you rented it. So you had to buy your trailer and rent the lot. So they planned on it being all old people. Well, they weren't filling it. So they didn't have a choice. So what they did was they put all the old people down at the bottom where the pond was to keep them separated from us. Well, shit, that didn't work.
Yeah, how's that work?
It was a big fucking loop. We get whatever, and the pond was down there. So that's where we're going to, fuck around and kill snakes and do crazy shit. But anyway, it was a cool place to grow up.
Well, one thing I just thought about is, and maybe this is a cool way we can bring it back to like the music side of things. How did growing up at Lakeside, how influential was being there, or how impactful was that being that close to the mall before you guys could drive in getting music and stuff?
It was huge because we had this, when we all started getting into, especially into thrash metal, punk rock, hardcore.
Well, hold on one second, just so the listeners know where Gene grew up, Trailer Park Lakeside, and it was like a stone's throw from the Valley Mall in Hagerstown. Like, what, you could walk there in 10 minutes, if that?
If you went the dangerous route, yeah.
Yeah. But so anyway, you were like really close to like our main mall where all the shops and stuff were.
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing was like once we got a little older and started appreciating heavier and faster, harder music, whether it's punk, hardcore, thrash metal, whatever, we basically would like go to the store and like, will you buy that and you buy that and you buy that, and then we'll dub it, and then we'll 3 records instead of us all buying the same thing. I mean, I remember like one time in particular, it was Boyer and I that we went to Waxy Maxie's, and I bought Among the Living because it had just came out. And I can't remember what Brian bought, but he bought something else. But we must have listened to Among the Living 37,000 times in his boombox while we were skating.
Yeah.
So that's how we, with Terry and Gary Pike, Gary Myers, and me and Bob and Brian.
So the only thing that sucks about that is when you get the shit record and everybody else gets the cool records.
Yeah. That happened to me a lot. Because I was going off of like what band shirts they were wearing on the back. And that fooled me a lot.
Yeah.
It turned me on to a lot of good shit, but a lot of times I got the shaft. Like I remember Terry getting, I actually got Celtic Frost Morbid Tales. That was the first extreme metal record that I got, and I got it on cassette. It was for my birthday. My girlfriend at the time, Stacy, she said, pick out whatever you want in Camelot. Well, I saw the cover, the heptagram on that, and thought, dude, this is fucking evil as shit. I got to have this right here. This is what I'm taking home. And of course, I took it home, and it totally blew my mind, like how evil and heavy it was. And so after that, Megatherion came out, and Terry bought it on vinyl, and I got it on cassette for some reason, because, well, the main reason I bought cassettes was because you could play them on a boombox. You didn't have to. I only bought vinyl if I had to, usually. But he bought the freaking gatefold first edition with the poster.
That's awesome.
Now, I do have the poster now, and I have an autographed copy, but that's one of the instances where I got the cassette and he got the
Damn.
I didn't realize vinyl was going to turn into what it does, because I got some sick shit now, but
yeah.
Then it was mostly cassette. So I bought that Bad Brains on cassette.
You were a cassette machine.
That was a
Gene preaches the proper cassette etiquette of making sure that you fucking run it to the front or back and don't leave it in the middle.
Yeah. Don't ever leave them in the middle.
Yeah.
Be kind, rewind.
Be kind, rewind. Was there a point in which you both sort of like realized you had shared enough stuff with each other, because you both sort of knew like the route you were going? Like you were sort of more metal, Curtis was more kind of like hardcore. Was there a point where you stopped sharing music?
No, we got cars. We got jobs and we got cars, and then you could buy your own shit. Together. You didn't have to do dishes and dumb shit to get allowance or something like that. I started at Martin's is the day I was allowed by law to get a job. I worked there. You worked there. Dave worked there. Dave was our crew leader. God. Taylor. Tim Hafer worked there. Dave Pittman worked there. And they kept us in the back all the time because we looked like a bunch of fucking derelicts. But they let us have a boombox. They let us have a boombox back there. But
oh my God, that was every once in a while, worst.
They need help bagging, and they'd have to turn us loose
bagging,
to the
you didn't like
public.
Bagging groceries?
No, because we were in the back, usually sweating our balls off. It was either fucking cold as shit or it was one or the other, because there was no Yeah, and the dock door wasn't closed, so there's fucking. If it was hot, the heat was coming in. Like it was fucking. It sucked.
And inside of that 54-foot tractor trailer full of food, so full that they could barely get the door shut. Dude, in the summertime, you pull out a can of, or a crate of cat food and cut that open and realize it's damaged, and smell and the maggots, and oh, dude, it was. For 15-year-olds, man, it was a pretty ready ass job. We were cutting ourselves all the time, falling down. I mean, smashing your hands. It was, and they didn't give a fuck, man. And remember those Saturday trucks? Because they were supposed to be the smaller trucks. Every once in a while, they nail you with a full one.
Yeah, and you think you're going to be out of there in 3 hours, and it's fucking 6 o'clock. You're like, what the fuck?
Well, the kicker was, Jonathan. This was the kicker, and Kurt knows. It was a wall. And you never knew what was behind that wall.
Oh, right.
As you layered, and you were always praying for fucking paper towel.
I gotcha. Yeah.
Like all the big shit. Because just think about filling a tractor trailer full of cases of cans. Yeah. Man, you wanted dog food skids.
Anything that was big, you wanted. Because that would take up a fucking skid. That'd be one less skid we'd have to do.
Yeah, and you never ever knew. Like you never knew what was going to be there. You never knew. It was always a surprise.
Which is crazy because now that shit's probably like all itemized on a screen and what's coming in.
It's crazy. I'm
sure.
Our whole goal was to set everything up so the people that stocked at night could go. It was like we were setting those guys up.
Yeah, all they had to do is pull the skids out into the aisle and then stack. Which I did that for 3 months too in the summertime of let's see. DBC Universe came out, so it was 89, summer of 89. I was working 3 days a week, night shift at Martin's, and 2 days a week down the road with my dad, day shift.
Damn, dude.
I was a mess, man. My body didn't know if I was supposed to be
Oh my
eating,
God,
sleeping,
that's fucking
shitting.
brutal.
So how did the boombox rotation go at work? Like,
Oh.
were you like, who got to pick what you listened to?
It was good. We all got along good except Dave Pittman.
Well, that's why I was asking, because I was like, everybody you named was probably like, even though Curtis doesn't want to listen to Iron Maiden, he'll put up with it. But I was like, I don't see David Pittman like wanting to listen to any of your stuff.
Well, no, but he did turn us all on to NWA.
Okay.
Oh
We
my
had
God.
no idea about how funny shit could be, because I had heard, KRS-One and, Run DMC, the goofy stuff, Curtis Blow, basketball, and all that shit, And then that shit
Yeah, it was
came on.
fucking
We were
crazy.
like, hell yeah, this is like this is punk rock rap.
Totally.
These guys don't give a fuck. So we would let him slide that in.
Yeah.
We'd try some other shit every once in a while, but he didn't last too long. It was a pretty big turnover. There was a lot of guys that we didn't know that came there to work that didn't last long because they just realized I'm not in these guys' clique.
Yeah. It's weird to say there was a click, but yeah, there was.
And we weren't dicks about it.
It is what it is. I mean, we all knew each other.
Yeah, and had for a while, and and that they just didn't, and they were like, I would just go work somewhere, and the work was hard. Yeah, one of my worst. I mean, I've had 3 concussions. One of my worst concussions was there.
How the fuck did you get a concussion?
Cooking oil leaked out from a box from under the skid right on the turn. You remember when you left the conveyor belt, Curtis, and you made that hard left to go back to the freezer? I planted my foot in cooking oil, and the first thing to hit the ground was my head.
Oh,
Out.
fucking
Good
hell.
night. Can't go to sleep. Don't, parents had to watch me at night. Don't sleep, all that shit.
Damn.
Yeah, that was a banger, dude.
So you guys was that like 10th grade ish?
Yeah.
Yeah, 10th, 11th.
Kurt left before I did.
Where'd I go? I think I went to work at the gas station with the Turners. And
I stayed until I graduated. The day I graduated, I quit.
Fucking out of here.
Yeah.
Well, I remember, Curtis, you worked at Little Caesars.
Yeah, I remember
That
that.
it did.
But that was probably later though.
That's later.
Yeah. That was me, Andy, Mike Smith.
Yep.
Heath was there.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, that guy Chris, I can't think of his last name. And fuck, there was a couple other people. Yeah, it was crazy
Curtis,
too.
did you work at County Market with like Matt and Mike and them too?
I made it there for like 6 months, but then we found out I was allergic to dust, so it didn't pan out very well. I got pneumonia for the
Allergic to
second
dust,
time.
low testosterone, man. You're
Oh my god, dude, I'm a
He's a
fucking
mess.
piece
well,
of-
dude. Hey, did you, Jonathan? Did you ever go to County Market?
Yeah. So I was going to say I have a County Market story. So
I got one too.
Uh-oh.
my Aunt Krista, who you know, Gene,
Yes.
she worked at County Market for a short period of time, and she worked
Okay.
there with Mike Smith when Mike Smith was working there.
All right.
And she had told him, my nephew, he's into like punk rock and hardcore music and stuff, and he was doing Obedience at the time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Obedience!
So my Obedience demo
Ooh.
was given to me directly from Mike Smith. He gave it to my aunt, and she brought it to me. And I remember
Yeah.
that was, kind of like in the Aversion days or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just remember thought that was like so cool that like I got like
Well,
an Obedience demo from him, and then I like listened to it and didn't know that they were like Christian. And I
Yeah.
remember listening to it and be like, wow, this is like really cool, but like not sure I'm like vibing on the whole Jesus vibe of this, but
right.
I like the music though.
Well, that's funny you mentioned Mike, because going back to the Bad Brains thing, and me still being completely metal, Mike came to Lakeside with Andy Avey one time, and they went to Gary's house, Myers. He lived 2 trailers over from me, and that's when I first like really met Mike and Andy. And Andy was an amazing guitar player.
Yeah, he was.
Andy Avey could shred. I still have tapes of him just shredding from back in back in high school when we were supposed to get together and do a band. But anyway, Mike gave me a dub cassette with DRI Dealing With It, Misfits Walk Among Us, and We're the Meat Men and You Suck.
Wow.
That's a good combo.
That was a fucking game changer right there.
Yeah, that's three really essential things.
Yeah, I was like, it blew me away because the first thing on there was Dealing With It. And at that time, there was enough metal in DRI at that point that, you know, I mean, the double kicks and stuff, I was like, dude, this is fucking killer, man. But then, man, when I heard the Meat Man, I was like, this man is the shit. Like, I don't know nothing about these dudes, right? But it was cool that Mike gave that to me and I still have it.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Because I drew on the cut. I used to draw like artwork on my dubs sometimes. So I drew like the Running Man and a Misfits skull, like my original, which just had a birthday, SOD, Speak English or Die. I on my original dub of that, who I have no idea who I got that from.
Hey, it is also the anniversary of Family Man. Just remember that too, fucker.
Today is the anniversary of a very, very, very important record to me that Curtis absolutely would fucking never even listen to.
My eyes are already rolling and I don't even know what you're going to fucking say.
It came out and it's life-changing for me. It came out in 1984 today. Queensryche, The Warning.
Oh, man.
I'm trying not to roll my eyes in front of
It's
you.
okay.
I'm not rolling my eyes, but I'm on the fence about that. I'll
Whatever,
play
man.
both sides because
Dude, you were so into them. And like when Operation Mindcrime came out, like that was the shiznit.
Oh my God. Well, let's see. Okay. The Warning, I have an actual 1984 Warning poster behind me. Of course, the listeners can't, but I'm showing you. It's right there.
I see.
IDK.
I see some arms.
So that when The Warning came out, that was fucking incredible. To me, they were equal, if not better than Iron Maiden at the time. Then Rage for Order came out after that. And that's where they went into their goofy looking, glammy futuristic vampire look. And they put a bunch of keyboards. If you listen to Rage for Order in headphones, they must have had fucking 700 tracks on that record. There was so much shit going on underneath that you can't even hear if you put the headphones on. But anyway, nobody got it that it was a concept record about futuristic vampires, and nobody got it just because they looked at the back picture and thought, what the fuck? They look like chicks. They didn't give the album a chance. Of course, now everybody's like, oh, that's a great album. You know? Yeah, but back then I remember everybody shitting on it.
I would probably say that.
I don't know, man. You might, if you gave it a shot. I mean, Jeff Tate's voice is just, there's nobody sings
G off.
G off. And then Operation Mindcrime came out. And as far as concept records goes, that just set the bar. Like they put so much work into that record and they could pull that shit off live. And Chris DeGarmo is my favorite guitar player ever, all time. Every lead he plays, absolutely fucking perfect. Not look at me, I can do this, just fit. And he's just as good a singer as Jeff Tate. So his backups are incredible. He's got a super high voice like Jeff does. So, I mean, to me, they were like an awesome band. And then Silent Lucidity hit and fuck, bleh.
Then you couldn't fucking wear that shirt ever again.
I could, as long as it was the old stuff. But that record, as soon as they got famous, man, they just lost their edge.
Was Silent Lucidity kind of like their Unforgiven, like Metallica's Unforgiven?
Yeah,
I was going to say one.
Yeah, but not heavy. Silent Lucidity is not heavy at all.
Yeah.
No,
not at all. It's a ballad love song bullshit.
But what year was Silent Lucidity?
90.
Yeah, so like all those bands were kind of starting to venture out of their like more root sound and going into like commercial success route, I guess.
Yeah. But that's cool because around that time is when I figured out Stockholm, Sweden had the fucking most sick band ever.
Yeah.
Nice.
Dude, that's when I heard that first Entombed Left Hand Path, I was like, that guitar, I was like, what the fuck are they doing to make a guitar sound like that?
Let's go back a little bit again, because I want to talk a little bit about the origin of, I guess, when Aversion X started.
Yeah.
And what was your feelings on that / involvement, if any, when that was all coming about? Because you would have been right there when that was going on, and you would have been the catalyst of that and stuff. I
was in art class with Kurt when he was doing all. I still have my Aversion sticker. I had
an
Aversion shirt.
Jackass.
I was right there. We went and saw him at the North High talent show, thrown out for slam dancing. You guys didn't play that Corrupt Youth show at the Williamsport, did you?
No, because that was when Mike quit the week or night before he quit.
I can remember Corrupt Youth playing, and I was there, and everybody was like, what the fuck is this? And I thought you guys were supposed to play, but no, I mean, I was with you guys when at practicing at your house.
Oh my God.
I took the pictures with Ryan on guitar. I saw every piece of art you ever did for that band. It's really cool stuff, and silk screening in hoops class. And
I guess, how did you feel about peers of your own age in school starting a band? Like, you knew that was the natural progression, it was going to happen, or were you like, holy fuck, these dudes I'm really good friends with are starting a band, this is really fucking cool? Like,
no, I mean, it had already been done with Jay Brower and them, and the Corrupt Youth thing, and I mean, Kurt was a little after that. I mean,
yeah,
because what they had Mockingbird Felony.
Yeah,
Jay Glenn Amy and
his brother and somebody else.
Yeah, I got a good Jay story too over at his house, man. It was,
oh Jesus, I bet.
But yeah, I mean, I was right along there with them. I mean, the only reason mainly I didn't start a band is because, number one, I didn't really care about playing an instrument because I was a singer, and I had so much shit going on with show choir, general choir, drama club. I mean, we used to do our show choir.
Yeah, that's a lot.
We did banquets like Christmas time. Dude, we made fuck tons of money. I mean, we performed. We were in the Macy's Day Parade. We performed at SeaWorld, Disney, Magic Kingdom, whatever. Busch Gardens, King's Dominion. I mean, we were fucking all over the place. Ruth Ridenhour was a war horse, man. She would work you to death. And our plays and our musicals, it was like good college level stuff.
I mean, like really, you guys, it's like you were sort of essentially like the only real touring musician out of everybody at an early age.
That is awesome.
But I mean, I really wanted to sing for a band. And like I said, I almost got together with Mike and Andy. But there was a talent show that year, and we were going to do Watch the Children Pray by Metal Church. And I was like, man, I don't know if I can pull off David Wayne, because that's one hell of a singer. And so I started rehearsing it and stuff, and I was getting it pretty good, and then it just kind of fell apart. I don't even remember what happened, but it was always cool that I knew my friends were doing hardcore or metal bands. It was because I wanted to support that, because I didn't really feel like doing it. I tried to go to whatever. I mean, I saw, we used to hang out at Fatal Force's basement like every Sunday and watch those guys. And I still to this day, man, those guys were stupid talented.
I was blown away the first time I went in that fucking basement.
No shit.
And those guys started playing. I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah. I was like, I felt my age at that point. It was like, all of a sudden you're like, yes, you're in high school, fucker.
Yeah. So, and we didn't know nothing about him, right? And Bob's at Sheets, the old Sheets, when it was right across from their practice spot.
Mm-hmm.
He's walking in Sheets, and of course he's got his Liberty spikes and his fucking, padlock around his neck and combat boots rolled and pants rolled up and everything. And fucking Rod comes walking out. And of course Rod looks just like Bob with long instead, And he's like, oh, basically you're into, Bob can tell the story better because it was him, but it was basically like, oh, you should come see our band practice. Like we practice right there. So I think,
which is really
somehow,
cool of Rod too, because that just
dude,
shows how cool Rod is, because like he could have been like, fuck you or whatever, but
yeah, they were all super nice guys. And I still talk to Scott, lost touch with the other guys. But anyway, the first time we went down there, I was like, number one, it was so fucking loud that it was like you were at a Motorhead concert, and you know how that is, John.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
what?
What?
Yeah, right. And just the fact that especially Rod was so fucking talented. That dude could play bass like it was stupid. I'd never, you watch MTV and see metal bass players, and a lot of them are really, really good, but this dude's in Williamsport across from Sheets in a basement.
Yeah.
Fucking killing it.
Well, and we honestly, I can't recall us. Maybe like one or two other times on the podcast have we ever even like referenced Fatal Force. So just for people who don't know, Fatal Force was pretty much like the quintessential like punk / hardcore / heavy metal band from our area. Like they were like the kings of underground music, I would say. Is that a fair statement?
Well, yeah, you'd have Wrathchild America. You'd have Wrathchild America being like the most popular, but to me, Fatal Force were always heavier.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh fuck yeah.
Goofy. They did goofy songs, not goofy songs but like I don't know, and I don't give a fuck, shit like that. But that's the punk rock part of it. Where Wrathchild, I was never a big fan of Wrathchild. I love Shannon and his side band. I won't say the name of the band, but
we refer to him as KP.
KP, okay, that's safe. I still have my Gift to Hate cassette, original one that I bought at Kicks Records.
Yeah,
Kicks,
and I love that stuff. And
just to put it into perspective for people, I think that Fatal Force was like a band that it wasn't just that they were from our area. Like you could drop those guys in any town and like that they would have been like the band in that any town. Like they were that fucking good.
They were definitely seasoned beyond their ages for what they could play.
Totally. Well, I remember, so it's funny. I have another like cassette story is, so the girl that Rod used to date, I went to school with Becky Hose.
Yeah.
Becky Hose was in a bunch of my classes, and she was like heavy metal chick and stuff. And I was always good friends with her, and she knew I was into like punk and heavy metal and stuff. And she actually got my copy of The Final Blow that I have was given to me from Becky, like Rod giving her a copy to give to me.
Right.
So,
and just so your listeners know that aren't familiar with the band, I have both of their recordings on YouTube in their full length. So that would be The Final Blow and the green,
whatever the green one is,
the green EP that has Killing for Jesus on it. But I remember when they got those in, I was at the house at the basement, and they got the green EPs, and they hated it and each other because Sean was like, I can't even hear my fucking guitar. You can't even fucking hear it. This is fucking pointless. And Rod's like, blah, blah, blah. He's like, all you hear is fucking bass. That's all I hear. I'm like, shit, Scotty's like, drums sound like shit. And I'm like, fuck, I think it sounds awesome.
Yeah. Well, I do remember those demos being like pretty bass heavy.
Rod's the backbone of the band.
Yeah.
He was I'm not down in the other two guys at all, but he was the more talented. And he did vocals at the same time. He switched back and forth. but with Sean, but I always thought his vocals were a lot stronger, and he could do that while playing the bass without a pick.
Yeah.
Thank you. Fast as shit. But it was good times, and they always were super cool to everybody that showed up. It didn't matter who you were. They were nice to you. And I know Rick passed away a few years ago. He was their like regular roadie. Kurt, you probably remember him. He used to always wear tiger stripe camos and black eyeliner. He looked like a member of Destruction. He passed away a few years ago. But he and Becky, Rod's old girlfriend, main friends, and I would see him out, and stuff. And he passed away rather suddenly, from what I understand. That was a shame because he was always a scary looking fucking dude. Like, he looked like if you took At War and threw them into Destruction, that dude went to the store like that. He didn't give a fuck.
That's funny. He didn't know and he didn't give a fuck.
Oh, shit.
He didn't know anything.
There you go.
Yeah, that's crazy. So I saw Fatal Force like once or twice. I saw them at the show at the Williamsport community building. And I saw them one other time, but I never, like I said, other than sort of like the Becky connection, I didn't really know those guys at all yet. I was still too young. Like I saw them play, but I never got to go to the basement or anything like that.
The basement was, the shows were good. The one at the Williamsport Fire Hall that got that shut down.
Oh, you know what? I was at that one too, actually.
That's where
that was the Lynx, wasn't it?
Lynx, yep. Lynx. And that's the one where the fucking sink got ripped off the wall in the bathroom. That's the end of that. Now, there's a lot of people at that show. We stayed the night at Tim Hafer's house that night, and we played. It was so funny, man. We must have played the Ultimate Revenge video like 1,000 times.
Oh my god!
Oh shit!
Because Tim was such a humongous Venom fan. Like, that was his shit. He even had a black goat named Lucifer. That's no shit. He did, like, backyard.
Nice.
But yeah, Tim let us stay overnight that night, and that was fun. And then the one time they played at that outdoor picnic ground, if you're heading up the pike towards Greencastle, it's this little picnic ground, and
I think I remember that. I don't think I went, but I know where you're talking about.
And they had a pavilion. It was hot as fuck, but that was a good time. Yeah, it was a kegger, and it got pretty out of hand, but that's metal punk.
Yeah, I don't remember that show at all.
The basements were the best. They always sounded way better down there.
Maybe that's where we decided we need to have cool equipment. Because, dude, you went in the basement, they had a real fucking PA.
Yeah.
It wasn't some like little fucking, me singing through a speaker. It was a real fucking PA, right. And they had equipment.
Right. I was used to going to like practices of you guys and of Mike's bands and stuff like that, and there never being a PA. And I was always like, man, I'm a singer, and that fucking sucks. And and obviously the talent level wasn't there either. You guys were hardcore and you were in high school. These guys were playing metal, and they were, super talented. And the first time that hits you in the face after what you've seen at practice, you're like, Jesus Christ, these guys should be like have gold records and shit.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. Because you just showed up. Like, there was no.
Yeah, no.
Like, you didn't get a fucking invite. You just walked in the basement.
Right.
And stood downstairs.
Right. Now they had closed practices during the week. I think it was Wednesdays. That was closed practice. That's when they would write and stuff. And then on Sundays is when they would do their set.
Yeah. And it was just fucking, it was like walk down and you fucking realized how old you were. You're like, I'm not there.
Yeah.
I am totally not fucking there.
And the funny thing is like the only place to sit was on the stairs. Like,
oh really?
Yeah, dude. It was, you could go down the stairs and then beside the stairs into the back of the room, towards the back of the room. But there was so much shit, and all the older dudes were back there, and the girlfriends and chicks, and you have to walk over the equipment to get back there. So you stayed on the stairs and stayed out of the way because, they were giving you a good thing, and you didn't want to be a punk dickhead and,
Fuck yeah.
walking around like you own the place. So we respected them and they respected us, and that was awesome.
Yeah, that was like going down there. It was like the equivalent of, just based on what you're describing, it was like the equivalent of what Curtis and I have talked about before, where when we were coming up and you like went to skate a ramp and they're like the big boys were skating the ramp, you just fucking sat there for hours until they were done before you got on the ramp.
Right. Like, yeah, I mean, I went to Jay's house and I had a skateboard and I was like, yeah, I'm not even fuck this day. I mean, I might as well ride home on this because I'm not getting on a ramp with this. I mean, I'll never forget it. The first time we went to Jay's, I rolled back there and fucking Show No Mercy's just blaring. I'm like, and I'm wearing a Celtic Frost shirt. So I was like, hell yeah, this is awesome. Because, but you know, with them, you know, that Jay and them were just like, you know, all punk rock. And I remember Scott Davis selling all of his Iron Maiden cassettes to all of us to build the ramp behind Jeremy's house at the school.
Oh shit.
That's how they were funding it, was they were selling off all their metal.
No way.
So me, and here's a blast from the past. I don't know if you remember PJ Warwick.
Oh my God, I remember that.
He was a humongous Iron Maiden fan. I mean, you know, dorky and nerdy as hell, but he was a big Maiden fan. So we were like buying up all this metal so they could build a cool ramp. But anyway, I just remember like when they finally got the big ramp built, and me and Bob went over there, and I think the only person skating that day was Jay on the big ramp. And
now you're talking about the one by the high school that we've talked about on the previous podcast. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That ramp was fucking
huge.
That
was like a big time ramp.
That was a scary fucking ramp. So I think it was just Jay there, and Bob and I, my grandmother lived in Wintersport in town. So we just skated over there. And I remember my brother was on the ramp and Jay was up on the platform, just standing there watching. And Bob's like right getting to vert and reaches down to grab the board. And I don't know what the trick is called, but basically you just 180 and go back down. But
like, it was a little air.
Yeah, just a little air, but not above coping, obviously. And I remember he ripped his fucking thumb, went under his wheel, and he ripped his whole thumbnail.
Oh fuck, I've done that.
And he's rolling around, dying, bleeding all over the place. And Jay goes, "That's fucking cool. Does it hurt?" and you know, this is at the point in time when Jay's got all that glue in his hair and shit. He just looked like a fucking nightmare. And he's like, "Dude, does that fucking hurt?" My mom's like, "Fuck yeah, it hurts." But needless to say, I don't think he ever skated that ramp again. I think that was.
Dude,
I used to take my freestyle bike over there, and they'd yell at me for riding.
Oh yeah, well I remember back in the day, it was like, not people like skaters not wanting. I mean, not that like skaters and bikers didn't get along back then in our area, but it's like if you had pegs on your bike, they didn't want you on the ramp.
Yeah, stay off the ramp. Stay off the ramp.
If the pegs will like rip up the plywood.
Yeah, but Jay's
up the coping too.
Jay's ramp was really cool. That was just a cool ramp. Like I mean, I didn't skate it because I was, like I said, I couldn't skate on the flat, much less on a ramp. I mean, I would pump on the big one, but I mean, that's just like being at Starland or
Turners.
That ain't nothing. You know? That ain't nothing.
Hey, we only talk about Turners on the podcast, not Starland.
Yeah, not those fuckers.
We're team Turners here at the podcast.
I am too. Trust me, I went to Starland once and the fucking walls were sweating so bad it felt like I was in a greenhouse.
Damn.
I don't see no need to come back here.
Fuck.
I'll tell you an awesome story about Starland off the camera when we're done.
There's a lot of skate. Hey, let me tell you, Turner's. I know of at least two of the old behind Turner stores.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean,
well, I conquered Starland too, so don't you worry.
Well, I was speaking of other people that I know. Jonathan, I don't know what you did. I don't give a shit.
All right. Well, so the last thing that I would like to cover, because we went down some rabbit holes I wasn't expecting, but is stuff I had thought about.
Well, you had to.
But no, it's cool. Like you covered some stuff I was hoping to cover, just maybe not how I planned on it. we've talked about like AKR a lot on here, and just like any knowledge you can share about what you know about them, based like how they started and stuff, because Curtis doesn't really remember anything.
Well,
How did you hook up with
Well,
them? Was it through Andy?
the first thing I wanted to start out with was Eric Dine was one of the worst things ever at his age.
Yeah.
And his talent, he was a good guitar player. And that just sucked. That was a bad day.
Fuck.
As far as getting to know him, I mean, we went to school with Dave, obviously, and with I'm gonna brain fart.
Didn't Mike play drums for them?
Jamie was before Carl, and we had known Heath from some kind of bullshit that he got into with Gary Myers, where Gary punched his fucking ear halfway off or something. That I don't know if that came before Eric died or after, and it was because of Eric's death. I don't remember any of that. But basically through Dave Taylor and Jamie went to Williamsport.
I didn't know he went to Williamsport.
We ended up in the basement when they recorded the demo on Tim Hafer's boombox, because Tim had a pimp ass boombox.
Yeah, he did.
Like something you'd see on "I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker" or something like that. That thing was ghetto blaster. So,
oh fuck.
So yeah, it was me and Bob and Tim Hafer, and Eric's sister was there, I think. Am I right, Curtis?
I don't know.
Anyway, and that was it. I mean, we were the crowd, you know.
That's so crazy.
And it wasn't. I don't think it was too long after that Eric passed away. Really, I mean, I didn't know him very long.
Yeah, it was short.
And then, of course,
like
his brother and Brian became really good friends. Brian Boyer.
Yeah, his little brother Dave, because I skated with Dave and stuff.
Yeah, I know you guys and had skated a lot together.
Because Dave's my age, so like Boyer's like a year older, and then or a year or two older.
Boyer's actually my age.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He got held back a year, so he's my age. So he's 50.
Not yet, fucker.
I'm older than you, Kurt.
Apparently.
Damn. It's a bummer.
Well, and then
younger anyway.
So was AKR was that like the catalyst of there becoming a Williamsport North High connection?
Yes.
Okay.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, that's kind of weird.
Eric and Heath were at North, and then and how that came together, I don't really know. I'm not privy to what they.
Yeah.
Well, wasn't Mike in there, and then Mike left, and they replaced him with Heath.
With Heath. Yes. Yes. You're right. I forgot about that. I forgot Mike played in every fucking band.
Well, and I think Andy Avey play, or at least like they jammed together or something. That was kind of the connection.
I don't think he was ever a part of that. I don't, that.
And for those who are listening who don't know, AKR was a band. Anorexia Killed the Rat, and they were a high school band that were the band. They were like the punk band that was at North Hagerstown High School.
Right.
And then that would have predated a Version X. Am I correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Maybe it might have overlapped.
Yeah, because we picked up Heath when Mike left, because Eric had passed away. And
I would say we probably going at the same time, maybe.
If not, they predated us like a couple.
But there was definitely like a cannibalization of members, like when they.
Yeah,
because Dave, we got Dave from, I guess, when that happened too. Ugh, that's fucking horrible to think about. Thanks, Gene. You're gonna fuck up my evening.
Sorry, man. I can make it worse if you want.
Yeah, but so that makes sense then, though. Like basically, that was essentially Dave and this Jamie person from Williamsport playing in AKR is what formed that connection to like other like-minded people that were at North High who otherwise probably wouldn't have known about.
Yeah.
And maybe through some skating channels, you may have still
through our circles, yeah. But like Jay and those guys, because if we hung out with Scott and stuff, so it was. I mean, I think there was a small connection through skating, but yeah, I guess that would be like the first official that I could think of.
Well, and then the other thing, Gene, I don't know if you can confirm this or not, because we've talked about this before on a previous episode, is like the origin of my amp. And I'm pretty certain that my Ampeg head was Eric's head in AKR. And like I've been told, because that's what Matt always told me, that head belonged to Eric because he got it from him.
That's highly likely. I don't know any way that I could confirm it,
Gotcha.
but that would be see that happening. I mean, that would be really cool to somehow be able to say yes, this is.
Because I wasn't sure if you remember like seeing it when you were there when they recorded or something.
Dude, that was a fucking blur. It was that whole thing was a blur. Like when I listened back to the tape, and that AKR demo is on YouTube as well. I have the whole thing on.
Yeah, I'll link all that stuff up we talked about so people can see it.
Okay. I mean, it wasn't the greatest sounding stuff, and it's just guys finding their groove. But some of the song, I mean, like Pizza Hut Massacre. I mean, that was fucking brutal,
Yeah, no, I mean, I think all that stuff was
awesome.
Like in the grand scheme of like punk bands, is like it's not groundbreaking or anything, but I think for all of us, it was definitely that's what we had locally. So it was like it meant a lot.
Yeah, and they didn't even have a lot of songs, and most of the songs on that demo are covers. I mean, they do Surf's Up by MOD, which Eric loved playing that. They did the Exploited, can't remember which Exploited they do, but it's off of Death Before Dishonor. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they do, I think they did an SOD song too.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've listened to that, actually.
I haven't listened to it since I uploaded it on YouTube, and that's been
nice.
But yeah, I mean, but Eric's funeral, that was sad. That was
that fucking blew.
Fucking news, man. I mean, that was and what always bugged me about his funeral was that Eric was cool punk rock, good guitar player and everything, and his parents decided to play Running Down
a Dream
by Tom Petty at his funeral. I mean, they had a nice picture of him, and of course it's his senior picture, not Eric.
Yeah.
And his guitar is sitting there, and then they play Running Down a Dream. It's like, did you guys even notice, kid? I mean, really? And I guess he would have been what, Kurt?
17
when he died?
18?
I want to say 17.
Yep.
And actually he's in memory of him is in the Fatal Force card on the green, I think. On the green EP. His memory.
I remember Boyer making me fucking laugh at his funeral. I was so pissed.
Yeah, but you know what?
I still fucking dread that.
You know what, though? And Boyer can laugh about all that, but I remember at the viewing, Boyer and I stand up there bawling our eyes out. Just me and him. That I don't know what happened, why it hit us both at the same time. But I mean, it's just not cool looking at a 17-year-old guy laying in a casket. It just
fuck no.
I never knew him at all. And like I said, I only knew his little brother, Dave. And I remember, though, when that happened. And that was definitely sort of probably like right in the initial phases of me sort of like discovering like the straight edge path, I guess, like through Aversion and just like listening to Minor Threat and shit like that. And then I remember that happening and like the reason why it happened. And that being like a big part of it sort of like scared me straight in a way.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry, Kurt, go ahead.
So I was just going to say, so what happened is he fucking died because he suffocated from an ice block in his throat because he was laying on his back doing butane. And I know exactly what feeling it is. And it scares the fuck out of me to think that that I felt that feeling that I know what,
They would walk around in their inside jack pockets at the mall with the butane bottle, and they would just pull their jacket over their head and hit that butane.
That's so gnarly.
fucking head rush galore. But yeah, I think he did it at home one night by himself and was laying down, and that shit freezes as soon as it hits the back of your throat. If the liquid comes down out of the can. So it was scary, I think.
And the shittiest thing was my group, the Lakeside guy, we had really just started to know him. We hadn't known him that long.
Right.
And it was super cool that we got to be at that in the basement. They recorded that thing. That was pretty cool. and then poof, you're gone. Sucks.
Yeah. Well, I definitely know that his death definitely affected his brother, because I sort of met Dave right after, maybe a few months after that happened. And when you're 16 years old and you're around someone else who's your age, and you're not totally astute of other people's feelings and stuff yet. You maybe can pick up when something's not right, but you don't really know the full scope of maybe what they're going through, because you barely know your own self yet. But I just remember he had very profound depression, and looking back on it, I can see now that he was losing his brother definitely really fucked him up, and it impacted just
bad.
his skating, and just even being around him. I remember being with him on occasion when he would he'd seem like he was in a really good mood, and then all of a sudden he would just out of nowhere just be he would just get up and leave and go home and stuff like that. If we'd be at a skate spot or whatever.
So I think I actually hung out with Dave before I hung out with Eric. I came in the back way. I'm trying to think what the connection would have been.
He's so much younger than you.
But we skated his ramp. I drew the plans for the ramp in Orm's class.
We got to talk about Orm.
So it was
we got to talk about
Orm.
Orm.
I think that's a perfect segue. I definitely want to hear some Orm stories.
I've got enough depression and shit. I got a good Orm story.
Well, hold on really quick. Was your Jay story the one that you told about your brother getting his fingernail ripped off?
Yeah, and going to his house and Show No Mercy being blasting when I thought they were all these new punk rock and Slayers.
Well, that's where I fucking heard fucking Rain and Blood.
So yeah, he was a Slayer nut. Because why wouldn't you be?
Well, good skate music. It's good ramp skating music.
Punk and metal, yeah.
Fuck right. Yeah. No, not fucking metal.
All right, so Orm. All
right, wait. I just put down 32 plus ounces. It's a potty break. It's official potty break. Here, I'll give you a subject. Chronic masturbation at Jonathan's house. Go.
It's time for an official Potty Mouth Podcast potty break.
I guess the Orm shit's going to be... we all had Orm.
Yeah.
I was never in your class though, and I never was in. I don't think I had him with Curtis either, and I had Orm twice a day. I think usually.
I had my senior year. I had him 5th, 6th, and 7th period. My whole afternoon was Orm.
Yeah, I think Robert was the same way, except for I think career studies might have fucked that up.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
OTAC.
Yeah. Well,
he was an auto body at the time.
Yeah, totally. I remember when your brother was doing that.
Then he won the house design contest.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I totally remember that.
They built it right over by North High.
Wow, that's crazy. I totally.
It's still the house is still there,
dude. I tell you what, honestly, your brother was a big part of me not failing that class every year. Honestly, I learned more from copying from your brother than I probably ever would have actually doing the like shit from the book. And when I got to my senior year and I was on my own, like honestly, it's like everything I like figured out by copying off your brother, like it was like I swear I was better at mechanical drawing because of doing it that way.
Yeah, well, I sat beside Dustin Watson.
Oh, there you go.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, you were definitely not failing then.
And Dustin was so studious. Like me and Dave Graff and Scott Ford, we were the biggest. I mean, it was fucking chaos in there. And I'm like, my freshman year was Mike Smith, Andy Avey,
My God.
me, Wayne Dick. I don't know if you remember him, Kurt. That poor kid.
I know.
I remember that
fucking-
name, but I didn't know him.
Yeah, him and his brother Alan, man, they were just like the whipping posts of the fucking. Whether they were home at Lakeside, they lived right behind us at Lakeside, or at
Oh shit, I didn't even know that.
because they both looked like they were still in the 70s. They wore polyester pants and butterfly collars and slicked their hair, and nobody knows why, but they just took a fucking beating from the rednecks. I mean, just nonstop. And that last name Dick. I mean, of course,
Yeah.
hey, your mom, Anita, all that dumb.
Yeah.
They just made their lives hell. I can't remember. Somebody was smacking the shit out of Alan one time down by the gym in the hallway. I can't remember who it was, but he would not fight back. I'm thinking to myself, man, just fucking hit that dude, lay him out or do something. He's beating the shit out of you.
Fuck.
It was fucking stupid, but
That's crazy too, because my memories of those guys were I thought they were like the exact opposite. I thought they were kind of like not like bullies, but I thought they were like tough guy kids or something.
no. Well, Wayne was like a chubby, overweight kid. Alan was super skinny and wiry, but I mean, he looked like, dude, like if you turned on a 1968 live concert with Johnny Cash, he would be the guy playing the upright bass.
I totally agree.
And throw that into the mid 80s. Like you're so far out of your fucking league as far as not being cool,
Yeah.
And and then growing up in Lakeside, Jesus fucking Christ, man. I mean, and having to ride the bus with I don't know what happened to those guys, but I felt pretty bad for them.
Well, just like we'll go back to some Orm stories in a second, but just to sidetrack
Okay.
a little bit based on what you just said, just the area that we're from. I mean, Curtis and I have established many times on previous episodes, just like, the time period we grew up where just like kind of punk and hardcore and stuff just wasn't really skateboarding. Just, it wasn't an accepted thing at all. And
No.
like being, you and your brother and like Boyer and like all you guys like sort of being like punk rock skateboarder dudes in Lakeside, did you get a pass because you were from there, or did you guys still get
Yeah.
fucked with?
No, never in Lakeside. Never. I mean, like I said, if we played wiffle ball or football or something like that, then yeah, you'd get in a fight with somebody. But like there was, and I mean, like I said, I mean, we all just got along for the most part. We didn't really care about each other's music and what you did, what your hobby was or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody rides bikes.
Yeah.
I mean, whether you freestyle or not, you still have a bike. And even with the older kids, they were for the most part really, really cool to us. Like our hill, Oakley Way, was like the sled riding hill. It would freeze to a solid sheet of ice, and our neighbors that were a couple trailers up were brothers, Tom and Dave, and they were like these pretty big dudes and everything. And they would get at the top of the hill on the runner sled and run, and they would let us jump on their back and ride down with them and stuff.
That's cool.
And then there were the Hawks, Andy, Mike. These guys were like fucking 7 foot tall. I mean, they were absolute monsters and just the terror of the neighborhood. But you could go down to the house and be a younger dude and they'd be cool to you. But if you were their age and you said some shit, I would not want to be on the other end of their fucking punch. Either one of them. I know one became a cop
Oh, Jesus.
in Delaware, which is so ironic because they were just nuts. Like their trailer was like hang out on the porch and everybody. That's the first time I ever heard the band Sodom was there.
Oh, really? Damn.
Yeah. So, but we never for the most part, it was just kids from other neighborhoods, or like if I would go to the mall, we would go to the mall, we'd get fucked with.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, people would say shit, but it was usually about my complexion or something like that. It was not like, it was just something stupid like, why don't you wash your face? Some fucking stupid shit like that. And I'm just, I've heard all that shit.
So that's really fascinating to me to like hear that you guys like actually got picked on, because my perception was always that you guys were like the cool people who would have never gotten picked on.
Nah, dude, there was always another faction of people that were coming there. When there was a time in the late 80s when this gang from Baltimore came up called the Crush Crew.
Really?
Yeah. And
That sounds familiar.
Fusi was the leader of these guys, and they would go through the mall and just fucking terrorize. Ask Trey Malati got punched in the face by one of them. Selena threw a fucking full cup of water on one of them out in the parking lot, and Jamie and Jason got punched, and it was they just single you out and they would follow you around, because the thing to do on Friday, Saturday night was just walk around the mall. That's what everybody did. And then when you left there, you went and cruised the duel.
Brutal.
That was what everybody did. Well, when these dudes showed up, that shit got real. One night we were in my Uncle Dave's car, who's only 3 years older than me. We were cruising around the mall, because that's another thing you did. You cranked up fucking overkill and on your fucking Kraco system. It had the 6x9s rattling like a motherfucker, but you had the sunroof open so everybody could hear it. So anyway, we get to the front of the mall, and there's this fucking dude that looked like he just left the Kicks concert. He's got the teased up blonde hair, long as fuck, this white leather jacket with the fringes on the sleeves. Like, this dude was straight up, glam.
He was a rocker.
And guess who fucking him? Guess who picked him out? Right as we're riding by, one of those dudes in that Crush Crew jumps up and kicks him in the fucking face, like straight up Bruce Lee style. Like, these dudes were the real deal. And that dude just went flying. He was out, and we were like, okay, keep driving. Fuck this. We're out of here. So there was always some shit like that. One night, Gary Myers, we were working together at the tannery. So we decided to play hooky one night and went to the mall. So me and him, this would have been 91. And my hair was really long, and I dyed it blue-black all the time. They called me Dark and Lovely in the wet end of the tannery. all the black dudes love to call me Dark and Lovely. They love that shit. And so we're walking through the mall. And of course, Gary, Gary, Jesus Christ. He always looked like a punk rock nut. We're walking through the mall, and it's nighttime, right? So there's this kid that looks like Vanilla Ice in the mall. And he's got sunglasses on, mirror sunglasses, like this, like the Terminator gargoyles, like he's got like the chains and the like brass knuckle style ring that says some shit. And I was just like, we didn't say nothing to him except, between me and him, we're like, this fucking guy. Yeah. So we're walking around, and he keeps fucking eyeballing me up. Like, even though he's wearing glasses, I could just, every time I walk by, he's like giving me shit. And finally, he's walking towards me, and he's like, so what's up to me? And of course, I say, well, not your look.
Nice.
And, the first words out of his mouth, we'll go outside. I'm like, all right, yeah, let's do it. So this is before they put all the new mall on. So we went back to the theaters where the old theaters were.
Right.
And it was cold as fuck. I remember it was cold as fuck. So the whole way out, they're up, and him and his buddies up in front, and me and Gary are in behind, and we're following. And the whole time, Gary Myers is, I don't know if you remember the cartoon with the bulldog that had the little dog that just kept jumping around. Hey, Spike, Gary, the whole time. Hey, Gene, let me fight him, Gene. Let me fight him. Gary had been used to getting beat around by his dad like a punching bag for ever since I knew him.
Damn.
He was definitely beat. We saw him get punched clean across the truck one time in a bench seat.
Jesus.
So Gary knew how to take a beat. I'll give him that. Let me fight him. And I'm like, hey, fuck, I don't feel like going to jail or anything. I said, all right, fight. So we go out there and they're in the parking lot, right? And Gary's like doing his typical thing. He's like, I'm going to fight you. I'm going to fight you. And so me and the other guy were like, all right, don't jump in. Let them fight. You know, it's all good. Okay. We agreed. So they're boxing around. Obviously, this fucking dude knows how to fight. He might look like a clown, but he knows how to fight. So Gary's famous thing is never hitting anybody back. So they're do-si-doing in between these cars. And you hear, and Gary's punched in the face. And Gary laughs at him. He's like, is that all you got? Why don't you hit me this side? Hit me in this side this time. Make it hurt this time. And that dude's like, I mean, dude, I've never heard that sound. It's like if you have a beef hanging there and it was soaking wet and you just punched it as hard as you could. It sounded like his face exploded. And automatically Gary's like, okay, I'm done. so fucking Gary, he looks at me and I mean, instantly his eyes are gone. He's got no eyes. Instantly, just like that. That's how hard that dude punched him. So I had to drive Gary's car home.
Jesus.
He couldn't see shit. He's like, all right, man. He's like, when we get to work tomorrow, I'm gonna tell everybody that we got jumped by a bunch of guys. And I'm like, well, but I didn't get beat up. He's like, okay, I'll just say I got jumped. And you, if somebody asks you, go along with it. I said, okay, cool. So he shows up at my house the next day. We worked second shift, and he showed up. We had to be in it too. He showed up at like 11 or something like that at the house, and he's got these big fucking sunglasses on, like the rap guy. And he takes those sunglasses off, and dude, I'm telling you, it looked like somebody spray painted his face.
Jesus.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, are you really going to work? And he's like, yeah. He's like, we'll stick to the same story. I don't want to tell anybody I got punched, beat up, you know. Jack Silvers was working there at the time, and he had a beef with Jack Silvers. So anyway, he shows up, he goes in there, and I work in the wet end, he works in the dry end. And so about an hour, all these people start coming to me, man, I heard you got Gary's ass kicked. I'm like, wait, what? What about? He's like, he said you went and ran your mouth to this fucking guy and then he beat him up for you. And I'm like, come on, dude. Typical Gary Myers, man. I was like, you begged me to fight this guy, and then you turn around on me.
That's fucked up.
But yeah,
That's awesome.
so anytime you went to the mall, somebody was there that was not on your side.
So I want it to be known that like I've mentioned a couple different times now that I was scared to go to the mall when I was a kid, and everyone was probably like, what a pussy. Like, why were you scared to go to your own mall? I hope people now understand there was like actual reason to be scared to go to the mall.
Oh yeah, man. That place, it could be.
Oh, there were always people who wanted to fucking fight.
Always.
Yeah.
Pennies behind JC Penney's. Me and Brian Bowers one time. Me behind JC Penney's, and he called up and pussed out. He actually called.
Hey man, I can't make it.
Yeah.
Shit,
Well,
I
got
even got
grounded.
challenged to a behind the mall fist fight at one point.
See?
And I literally didn't do shit. Got challenged to a back of the mall fight. And I said I would show up, but I had no intention of showing up. And I didn't show up. And then the next week at school, the kid came up to me and he's like, hey, you didn't show up Friday night. I'm like, yeah. He's like, why didn't you show up? And I was like, because I didn't want to. and it was like, he was like honestly confused, I think.
Well, like the working at the tannery was the same fucking way. So, like, once again, Gary Myers.
Jesus, we got a recurring theme here.
Yeah. Well, you got to remember, he's also one of the kids that got caught on top of the mall at night by the SWAT team, dressed in ninja suits, with throwing stars and climbing spikes, and yeah,
dude, you know what? I swear to God, I think I remember hearing about this.
Yeah. They do
like back when it happened.
It was all Lakeside guys. Yeah, and like I remember Jeff Scher, or Jeff Schaefer. Jeff Scher, I think his name was. He's like, man, you want to come? I'm like, fuck that. I'm not going to the mall at night and getting on top. I mean, what are you accomplishing? What do you
Yeah, what was the goal?
I just want to see if we can do it. I'm like,
be ninjas.
Yeah, so they dress up and go over there and they get up on top and they're running around and the fucking maintenance guy hears them on the roof and thinks somebody's trying to break in. So of course he calls the cops. Well, not the cops show up, all the canines and everything. And they're all up there hiding behind the fucking AC units on the roof.
Wow.
And it's 1 a.m. And so I told Gary, they all got sent away to the Eastern Shore, to juvie camp for that.
Oh,
yeah, they were in big trouble, dude. So I remember asking Gary, I was like, so what, what happened? He's like, well, they kept telling us to come out. And I was like, well, nowhere, you're not going to catch me. I'm in this black ninja suit. It's dark. You don't see me. He said, we're going to release the dogs. And Gary's like, that's when I fucking came out. He's like, I did not want any part of those German Shepherds at all.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they called them all, but yeah, back to the tannery, man. My first second full-time job, I ended up working there with Gary, of course. So Gary and Jack Silvers was there too, that we went to school with, and Jack was known as being a fighter. So he and Gary had this rift going, and they made up, didn't fight, made up. But this other dude had some problem with Jack over this girl and this other guy. I mean, this place was, Kirk can attest, it was a drama city. There was way too many people stuffed in there in that environment.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. So what it turned into was one night it's snowing and we get off second shift, and the railroad tracks there, Kurt, right at the bottom of Hospital Hill.
Mm-hmm.
So Jack's supposed to fight this guy. Meanwhile, this guy, Jack was a pretty big dude back then. And this guy was like maybe 5'6", 130. Like he was, I knew he was going to get his ass handed to him, and he did too, because he whips out the pepper spray and maces Jack. I mean, he could not have fucking, if that thing would have had a laser sight on it in the dark, in the snow, he nails fucking Jack right in both eyes perfectly.
Oh
Brutal.
my God.
Jack instantly grabs his fucking eyes. He's like, oh my God. He just reaches out, can't see shit, grabs this fucking dude, and proceeds to beat the living tar out of this motherfucker. The whole time screaming, my eyes, I can't see. You fucking
Jesus.
So it's snowing, right? And then because of the snow, he goes right to the fucking ground. Jack's on top of him in the middle of fucking Route 68, pounding his fucking head into the blacktop, and still can't see shit. And Gary's there and I'm there. A bunch of us came out to watch this shenanigans. All of a sudden, out of the woods, the woods right there at the railroad tracks, comes the other guy that had a problem with Gary and Jack with a fucking steel pipe. And Gary's just standing there and never sees it coming. And I turn right as the fucking guy swinging the pipe hits fucking Gary right in the elbow with his pipe. Gary's arm instantly starts slinging around like a fucking wet noodle and takes off running across the railroad tracks. And I swear, his arm was just bouncing and dangling. So what to do? Drive him to the hospital to go get his arm fixed up. But dude, like, I don't care where you went. Like, I'm sure it's the same way today, because I mean, I go to the mall sometimes if I have to, and I can automatically pinpoint the group that would be the fuck ups in the 80s.
Yes, absolutely.
They're starting shit. They're picking on the security guard or whatever. And,
you've painted this really amazing picture of like the area that we came from. It's you kind of almost had like two choices. You could be a punk rock guy or you could be a redneck, and we all like picked the right side to be on.
Yeah, I mean, or like the super studious. Like we had some, we had pretty smart kids in school when I was in school. I mean, went on to do some really big things and stuff, and talented too. Yeah, Curtis Taylor for one. I don't know if anybody's seen him lately, but I heard he is doing a podcast.
And it kicks ass.
Wait. That's the guy with little nuts, right?
Little nuts and low testosterone.
Like I said, my daughters listen, so we're not going to talk about nuts and stuff.
Oh my God.
We can do that. We can do that off air if you want.
So the tannery was the tannery to me. That closing of that fucking shithole was a blessing because I had accepted that for the rest of my fucking life, I was going to work at that hunk of shit and I was going to be content because I could get off of work and go do what I wanted to do. I was making good money, especially for up there, making good money. And then I could go home and still do all the dumb shit I like to do. So I was quite content. And I think I knew that was my path in life, even as a fucking, coming out of high school. Like, it's not what I wanted to do, but I kind of, the writing is always on.
Everybody worked there.
I was going to say, my Uncle Clay, like my dad worked there. A bunch of my uncles worked there. My Uncle Clay worked there until it closed down. And it was like about 6 months before it actually fully closed. There was a woman there that got killed in a machine.
Yeah, her head got pulled into the spray machine and the dry end and the finishing end.
How?
Her hair happened, dude. It was, from what I understand, in front of her husband.
So I ran a fucking spray machine. That was what I ended up doing.
Yeah,
like that was my job.
Yep.
Like I was I caught hides and realized that this is the most boring fucking job ever.
Yep.
And how in the fuck am I going to do this for 8 hours? I remember asking the woman I was with, I was like, do we do anything else? Well, sometimes we clean the nozzles. I'm like, and that's fucking it. This is what I'm getting paid to do. It was fucking I was like, my melt.
Production work, man. It sucks.
And then, so I was like, and as soon as I could like trade up to go up and at least run this machine. But like that to me, I don't like, it's not registering on how, I mean, basically what the spray machines were automotive, they were made, I think, for actual automotive parts initially. And like they were converted over from what I understood.
Same way with the machine I was hired to run was the same thing. It was called a staker and it was made to do something else and it didn't work for what they wanted to do. So that's why I ended up getting out of the wedding.
But yeah, it's weird. Like it's hard for me. She got her head crushed.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like my uncle, he was like right there. I think he was like one of the people that was trying to like get the machine stopped and like to get her out and everything. But it was like, it happened so fast.
I mean, Jonathan, you've never been in there, obviously.
No.
That place was a fucking OSHA nightmare.
Oh, I bet.
The whole building, everything about it. I don't care what part you were in. The floors looked like they were going to fall through.
You could see through the floors.
Yeah, the floors were. The elevators looked like they belonged to a home house. It was so hot in there you couldn't stand it.
So we got shut down one night because it got so hot and somebody called fucking OSHA and was like, dude,
get them out of there.
We are working and it is. And so all of a sudden the next day we had fans, but it's still 128 coming off the back of the fucking machine, catching leather.
Yeah. I mean, I went at second shift, 2:00. It's summertime and didn't get out till 10. So, I mean, and when you're in the wedding and it's hot, but it's wet. It's humid as fuck. It was so miserable and it stunk so bad down there. And my uncle worked in the wedding the whole time he was there, and he'd come home and have to take all of his clothes off on the porch, like, because he just reeked of it. That's before they put the filtration system in. It wasn't quite as bad, but it's still a nasty thing. And don't ever, let me say, everybody out there, don't ever eat Jell-O. I'll just take it from me. I've seen what goes in Jell-O. Do not eat it.
Nasty.
Oh yeah, my God.
There's always a part of me that was like, feel like I missed out on my rite of passage as a Williams Sportian to like not work at the tannery. But
yeah, you didn't miss shit.
Dude, my house was just far enough away but on a really bad day, you could fucking smell that thing.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Like-
yeah. Well,
I'm miles away, but if the wind was blowing right, you could smell those fucking cow
okay,
hides.
Kurt. So you know the railroad tracks I'm talking about, right there at the tannery.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
up that big hill, very first house on the right, my grandmother's house. Grew up there basically. And the smell, and then you got Cushwall across the street, and the sulfur smell that is combining, fighting it out because they both the brickyard and the tannery ran 24 hours a day.
It was, oh my
Nighttime.
God. Yeah, Williamsport.
Nighttime was when they would unleash all the shit, and it was bad, dude. It was bad.
Oh my God. I heard something on the radio and they were talking how Potomac is cleaned up. I'm like, well, no, fuck, dude. They shut the
Tannery's
fucking
gone.
tannery down.
They polluted it so bad. They got fined so bad. Like, why don't you? Hey, Gene, we'd be down at the hot water wall at the power plant fishing.
Oh, I know what you're getting ready to say, because my dad on my last trip back, he's like, come here, I want to show you something. He took me over to show me where that pipe used to come out of the fucking ground where the tannery would send all their shit. Yeah.
Well, are you talking about the power plant or at the tannery?
No, the like over by like where the aqueduct is, like on the other side,
Right.
there's like a pipe that comes
Right.
out of the ground where
Right.
apparently the tannery used to send all their shit to the river.
So the hot water wall is down at the power plant, a little further downstream.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, right. And everybody used to fish there too because the hot water discharge
Yeah, we used to swim there.
from the power plant used to attract the fish. So you could really just walk up to this concrete ledge, to people that don't know, walk up to this concrete ledge on the Potomac River and throw anything that a fish might bite into the water, and instantly you catch a fish. Instantly, over and over and over. It was like the perfect place to take a kid to teach them how to fish because it was so easy.
Yeah.
And people were like, I'd be fishing there, fishing into the dam and stuff. And people were like, why don't you ever keep your fish? I said, I worked at the fucking tannery. I know what's in this river. No thanks.
Oh my
It goes
God.
downhill, and we're right downhill.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And then, when I worked for the C&O Canal for the National Park Service, my district was the Palisades district. So I was zero lock in Georgetown, 23 miles up towpath to Seneca. And when they say shit flows downhill, they're not kidding, because the stuff that I saw in the water at Georgetown in the river, I mean, I literally have a picture on, I think it's on my Facebook page, of a Santa pot in the river.
What?
Oh, fucking hell.
How does that happen?
The whole Santa pot is in the river. Well, every time the water would rise upstream, it would wash all the West Virginia stuff. All their makeshift boat, their
Docks and stuff.
shit with all those plastic barrels. Well, they would buy those. They'd get those plastic barrels and use them as floats. Well, the
Yeah.
water would raise and wash it away. So it ended up in Georgetown on the bank. And we had to treat every one of them as hazardous material. Even if it was just full of water, you had to call in hazmat to come out and investigate what this barrel is. So people don't realize how much tax dollars are wasted on the shit that they tie to their fucking.
Yeah, that's crazy to think about. Yeah, because it's like, I guess the West Virginia side sort of has their own like rules like, on what they can and can't do and shit. but it's
Goddamn
like
right they do.
But the river is like shared though, so that's not really like a fair problem,
Right. You ain't Maryland, you're not getting away. DNR is not going to cut you any slack. And they just shut Kemp's Mill down.
What they shut?
Kemp's Mill you cannot go to Kemp's Mill anymore because the owner of Kemp's Mill finally got sick and tired of picking up everybody's fucking garbage out of that parking lot right there at the dam.
Uh-huh.
Finally said enough is enough. He's a retired Air Force pilot or something like that. And he and his wife had been taking care. They restored the Kemp's Mill. It's beautiful.
It's awesome. Yeah.
And they were allowing people to do it. But, a bunch of hood rat fucks started coming and fishing there and throwing their shit all because I could buy it all the time. And, you drive by and you see all this shit laying there. Finally, the guy's like, I've had enough. Fucking fenced it off. It's
Wow.
property. You can't go. It's done.
That was like one of the best rope swings in the area.
Yeah, that rope swing was fucking legendary.
Dude.
All the canoers
Kemp's Mill itself, like when that was a bar back in the day, like when my
That was
dad and all
hopping.
went there, that was like this fucking hangout spot.
Yeah, that was a big deal back then.
Fuck yeah. That's where I started my beer cap collection.
What do you mean?
Well, on the every other week that my dad would pick us up, we would walk Kemp's Mill because my grandmother lived there. And we'd start looking for all kinds of random beer shit, like bottle caps and stuff. Maybe that's where my fascination came from.
Maybe
I doubt it. Maybe not. But like it would just be like you go through and just pick up all the different fucking bottle caps because they'd be fucking parked the whole way down the road. And so there's just trash everywhere.
I definitely have lots of memories of going to Kemp's Mill, mostly like the rope swing though. That was like one of the pinnacle rope swings in the area.
Yeah, that was badass.
I remember going there with the Rossmans one time, and I mean the water there was pretty shallow. Like it was only like maybe like 3 feet deep, maybe 4
it was
feet.
fucking surprisingly shallow. Yeah.
And fucking Mike Rossman dove out of the fucking tree into that water. It was like 3 feet deep.
Yeah, that's not unless the water's really up. That's not a deep spot.
No, definitely not.
No, because I jumped out of the tree once and didn't realize how, and it was during like a fucking drought. So the water wasn't up high anyway. And I jumped and all of a sudden I'm like, I already felt the bottom as soon as I was hitting the water. I was like, fuck.
Yeah, it's like one of those things, like even if you cannonball, you still like touch like immediately.
Yeah.
That's funny. Well, let's circle back to a couple Orm stories really quick. Because we talked about him on that one episode, and I've kind of been thinking about him off and on ever since then, and just like how awesome he's like probably one of the coolest teachers ever.
Absolutely.
I remember motherfuckers stealing title blocks because the nerdy kids would fucking make all their title blocks and have like fucking stacks of them, and then all of a sudden they'd be gone.
Oh, like they'd make like a surplus of them to like give to people or something.
Yeah.
Well, and Orm's ties were legendary.
Oh yeah, big time.
His ties were so big, like Greg Brady would be so proud of his ties. And not to pick on anybody about their weight or anything, but Mr. Orm, he was a big man.
Yeah.
And he was
like he was not obese though.
No, he was big in
like
the
an
middle.
Andre the Giant kind of guy.
Yeah, he was big in the middle. So
yeah,
he would take his belt and yank it so tight that he looked like the Michelin Man.
Oh my God.
But the dude, he was so patient.
Yeah.
Some of the shit we did, like Dave Graff made and Scott Ford, they sat beside each other behind Dustin and I, and they made these humongous fucking ties out of paper.
Oh my God.
Drew like stripes on them and shit. And I mean, everybody was fucking dying. And Orm just, he just, come on, guys.
Yeah, totally. Come on.
And every time we had a substitute, every time we would tape pornography magazines that somebody got from T-Bird's desk down in the shop class. They would get
fucking T-Bird.
Yeah, T-Bird.
Forgot about T-Bird.
He kept pornos in his desk drawer. And somebody would bring them over. We'd rip the pages out and tape them to the front of the desk so the substitute couldn't see them. And we just sit there and laugh our asses because we were getting away with this shit.
Oh fuck!
And
dude, that's awesome.
We had Wayne Dick. Back to Wayne Dick. Poor Wayne Dick.
Aww.
He was in our class, and you remember the eraser bags?
Yeah. We talked about that on one of the episodes. How people would throw them at the blinds.
Oh well, the
fucking douchebag.
I can't remember who threw it at Wayne. I think it was Scott Ford. But he yells, "Hey, Wayne." And Wayne turns around. And right as Wayne turns around, that fucking eraser bag hits him dead between the eyes. And his whole fucking face turned white. And this poof of it's like somebody exploded a baby powder container all over his head.
That's fucked up.
Oh my
His
God.
eyes were squint shut because it literally went into his eyes. He couldn't see shit. And we're like, come on, Scott. like Wayne's blind, and he called from then on we called him snowblind because of that.
That's fucking horrible. That poor kid. That's so funny too, because I swear to God, I thought him and his brother were sort of like I said, I thought they were kids who were like doing the picking on, not getting picked on.
Jonathan, before I forget, were you in Orm's class with Boyer and Bob?
Yeah, I was.
With the time when Boyer had the fake finger? Do you remember that?
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay,
it doesn't sound familiar.
Boyer had one of those rubber Halloween fingers, right?
Okay.
On the end. And you remember how Orm used to sit and chew his fucking fingers all the time?
Yeah.
Totally. He had that skin, whatever that skin condition was, and he would just
because his hands are always so fucking chewed up.
He would just gnaw on them like a fucking rodent. Well,
yeah.
So this is my brother telling this. I wasn't actually there, but I know Boyer good enough that this was fucking gold. Boyer goes up and throws that fucking finger on the desk and says, "Jesus Christ, where me chewed your fucking finger off."
Dude, you know what? I totally was in that class. I remember this now. I definitely remember that. Yeah, totally.
Do you remember?
I forgot about that.
You know, okay, so you know how the desks, people that don't know mechanical drawing or drafting, the desk's face lift up towards you, hinged at your stomach, so that you can get to your drawing better.
Yeah, it's like a 30-degry angle kind of.
Right, up too. Right. Do you remember the day Bob slammed some kid's face off of one? And it led to a whole big thing where...
I feel like I do remember that. I don't remember like why that happened though.
Curtis knows what I'm talking about because it led to the whole shut up Goldilocks quote that ended up in certain people following us to the parking lot trying to start a fight.
You're going to have to refresh me because I am...
Well, should I name names or
who the fuck's listen to it? We have people that listen to us in DC, California,
Japan,
and fucking Massachusetts,
Korea,
and actually Australia and India. Apparently,
okay. All right. Well, the boy that Bob slammed his face in the desk was a Malloy. I'm not sure of his name.
Jesus.
But
I remember this now because it was the little one.
Yeah,
it was the younger one.
Yes. So Robbie,
I can't remember his name though, but yeah, he was a little hellion.
Right. So Robbie Eiler started saying some shit, and Bob turned around and said, "Shut the fuck up, Goldilocks," to Robbie Eiler.
That's so fucking funny.
And then it was on, right? So then Curtis, I don't know if you remember this, but you came to Bob's defense and said, "I'm going to walk with you to the parking lot." Because Robbie and Sean Osborne,
no, Jesus Christ, yeah, probably
were following after, and you actually told Robbie to, go fuck off, leaving the fuck alone. And Sean was like, "Come on, Robbie, punch him, come on," like the little dog, So Curtis actually saved the day on that one, and I think that all got brushed away. But the next day in the parking lot, fucking Johnny Bowers showed up in the parking lot to confront Bob over doing that because that's his cousin or something. He gets right outside the gym doors at the parking lot. Johnny gets up in his face. He's like, "Why'd you do this and that?" And he's like, "Fuck you, man." And Johnny Bowers goes, the classic quote, "I'll fucking stab you."
Oh my God.
Bob goes, "You're going to stab me in front of all these people."
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's like this. All that shit just seems. I mean, it seemed absurd back then, and it seems like even more absurd as you get older. Just like, I don't know, like just the whole like, what are you looking at? Like, and I'm gonna fight you. Like, it's just like, what the fuck? Like,
well, that what? Jonathan, this is going to be a touchy subject for Kurt, but that's called testosterone.
It's not touchy because it don't have it.
Yeah, just like the whole like,
oh my God,
fragile ego conditions and stuff. It's
a lot of browbeating, grandstanding, cock of the walk bullshit. Like especially in a neighborhood, that's when it really gets.
Yeah, and I think it's people our age coming from a generation when shit was just different when we were growing up. Like you said, that one guy who's like, dad was beating him all the time and shit. It's like
it's no wonder he acted like that. He did.
Yeah, exactly. It's like people like that had no choice but to like act out and be like fucking super rednecks.
Well, he was super the opposite, super insane. I know I heard through the grapevine that he's completely calm now.
Well, yeah, I mean, he was like
due to
probably
medication.
like 18 then and stuff.
Medication.
So, like,
So you need some people just need medicine. Like
better living through chemicals.
Well,
it's okay.
Today, I mean, but like today with autism and Asperger's and stuff like that, which my nephew is autistic. Like when we were in school, you had a bad kid. He was the bad kid.
yeah.
There was no term other than you were the bad kid. So you got singled out, paddled at that time in school. When I was in school, you could get paddled.
Yeah.
I mean, middle school, we had a fucking principal in middle school that was a goddamn psycho.
Mr. Klein.
Mr. fucking Klein.
Dude, I remember that dude scared the fuck out of me.
Remember when he would grab you in that fucking Spock pinch thing, your collarbone and paralyze you?
He would, because like I sat at the lunch table with your brother and all those guys in middle school, and he would, of course, we all looked like fucking how your brother looked and how we all looked, skate rat kids and shit with mohawks and stuff. And
different.
Yeah, he would fucking come by and do the Spock pinch on us and be like, oh, like he'd be like grabbing you and like whispering shit in your ear, like, whoa, like why's your hair like that today? And just like fucking crazy.
Big fucking tough football wrestler fucking dick bag.
Yeah.
I swore to God, after I got out of school, I wish I would have saw him somewhere in public. Because I would have told him, you know what, man, you were a fucking piece of shit when we were in school.
Dude, you know how long? Yeah, like how long would that motherfucker last in today's world in school? Like he'd be fucking fired like instantly.
Oh, yeah. He'd be there. One time, I'll bring Boyer back into this. When Boyer and my brother together, it was usually off the hook.
Dude, I mean, I witnessed that every fucking day in middle school, sitting with them at lunch.
So on the school bus, which I don't even recall at all, they were making fun of some girl from Lakeside on the school bus. Both of them ganged up on her, making fun of her. I really wasn't that kind of a person at that age. I'm for it now. But anyway,
you have a lot more life experience.
Yeah.
To be angry.
Right. Some people just deserve it. But anyway, so they're picking on this girl, and the next day at school, I get pulled out of class. I got to go to the principal's office, which is Mr. fucking Klein. So I sat down in the office and I'm like completely clueless. Like, what the fuck am I doing in the office? And so he's got that fucking paddle in his hand with the fucking holes drilled through it.
Yeah.
I know which one you're talking about.
And he's cracking it on his hand before he even says a word. And I'm like, holy shit, I'm going to get beat for something. And I'm thinking, what did I do? He's like, so I understand that you were intimidating, or I don't know what the words were, picking on such and such on the school bus yesterday on the way home. And I'm like, fucking Bob and Brian.
Oh, fuck.
She told him it was me. Legit, straight up told her. And I'm like, he's going to beat my ass for something they did. And then I'm going to have to try to beat both of their asses for getting my ass beat. Meanwhile, I'm in middle school, and I was a chunky kid up until 8th grade.
You were hot.
Yeah,
it's okay.
The sick feathered hair. I mean, I had that natural curl that you just couldn't. Every girl was jealous of it, but
yeah.
So he's like threatening me. He's going to beat me, and I'm like, I swear to God, sir, but man, he manipulated and tried to coerce me into saying something so he could beat my ass. And to this day, like if I would have ever saw him after that, I'd beat my ass now, motherfucker.
Oh my God. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's creepy shit,
I had a fucking run in with him too in 7th grade.
Well, it's because you were a fucking nut.
No, I wasn't even a nut at all. But like,
I know.
What's crazy though is what I did get caught for is I'm not super proud of this, but it's fucking funny to like look back on. I definitely for like a couple weeks like was in a fucking sniffing glue phase.
Shoop doobie, shoop
Shoop
doobie, shoop
doobie, shoop
doobie.
doobie, which is why I told you why I'm so stoked that you wrote a song about sniffing glue. But there was this kid on our lunch shift, and your brother actually might remember his last name, but I'm pretty sure his name was Shane, but he was kind of like a headbanger type dude. And I remember he was at our lunch table one day and he was like, do you guys want to go sniff glue? And I was like, I don't even know like what the fuck that mean. Like, what are you talking about? And he's like, well, it's like you put glue in a bag and huff glue and you can like get high. And, like I kind of started hearing about people doing drugs or like getting high. I'm like, oh, like this is like sniffing glue. That's like not an illegal drug. So I can try it and like not get in trouble. And so, yeah, we go in the bathroom. We're like sniffing glue. And like this went on for like maybe like a week or so. And then one day, I don't know if word got around for some reason, but we were in the bathroom. We were like, it was me and this Shane dude and like one other kid. I forget who it was, but we were all in like a stall with the door closed, like huffing glue out of this bag.
He calls a circle jerk.
You were even doing it the right way.
What's that?
You were even doing it the right way.
Well, like out of a bag?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know. We were fucking legit.
I'm surprised.
So the fucking bathroom door opens up and the fucking door, like the stall door busts open and fucking Mr. Klein standing there. He fucking reaches in, fucking corrals all three of us with like his Spock grip, grabs us, fucking like drags us out of the bathroom. And this is in front of the whole cafeteria. And he's just like dragging us across the fucking cafeteria.
Holy shit.
Basically, there's 4 ways into the cafeteria. You could get there like via the gym or like via the front of the building.
Right.
We came in. Well,
The science area.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
not
then
the
the
science area. It was like the up near where the music area was actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, the front.
Yeah. So that little entrance right there, there's a hallway that you could go back. And there's like this little secret, like panic room that was like off to the side, which probably hardly any students ever knew was even in there. And it was probably only reserved for like, if some fucking crazy shit happens. So he like
kids sniffing glue.
Yeah, like kids sniffing glue in the bathroom.
Yeah.
So he fucking grabs us, takes us all and like fucking puts it. So you like go through a door and then you have to open another door. And then that opens another door, which is where this room was. So you had to go through a series of like 3 doors. And then we got put into this room, which was like seriously like maybe 6 by 6 with like a table and chairs. And that's all that was in there. And he like shut the door. And, yeah, it was like an interrogation room. Shuts the door and locks it. And he didn't say a fucking word to us. He just like put us in there and shut the door. And we're just like, what the fuck is going on? And then he comes back like 15 minutes later, opens the door, and he's like, just so you all know, all your parents are on their way. So he had like fucking went and called everybody and just like, we were like, what the fuck? And I
didn't even get that. I just got, I'm going to beat your ass.
Oh, well, so like as we were waiting for people to show up, he was just fucking screaming at us. Like, kind of like he's pulling like a Mr. Mackey kind of thing, like drugs are bad kind of a thing, but like, but more like screaming. And he was like pounding on the fucking table with his fist and shit. And yeah, I just was like, oh, I'm so fucking dead. Like my grandmother's going to fucking like murder me. And I did end up getting in trouble, but she ended up being more pissed off about how the whole situation was handled, about how he like fucking roughed us up and shit and like put us in this room and stuff. So yeah, anyway, point being that guy was a fucking psycho.
Yeah, but at least you were actually doing something wrong.
Yeah, I guess so.
I was completely innocent.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely fucking deserved it, I suppose. But dude, back to your brother and Boyer though.
Oh boy.
Those fucking guys were like, they were like literally fucking Beavis and Butthead.
Yeah, they were a team, all right.
Oh
Like
my
just
God.
I can just remember like them like laughing. Like one of them would start laughing about something, the other one would start laughing, and then they just like be laughing together. Like Boyer doing his like,
Yeah.
and then your brother fucking laughing like all crazy loud. But yeah, anyway. So Curtis made up a bunch of questions.
Oh yeah, now you're on the spot, Gene.
Yeah, so you're getting put on the spot
Right.
now.
I gotta look at my notes.
So I'll ask the first one, then Curtis can ask you the
What
second.
makes you think I'm gonna have any answers to these?
Oh, because I already know the first fucking answer.
Oh.
You'll have answers. So we want to know. So on one of our earlier episodes, we had established like Curtis and I are both Camp Sex Pistols. So are you Camp Sex Pistols, Ramones, or the Clash?
Ramones easy.
Okay.
That's
So, and I think Black Flag, because I was looking at it, because like American, if you think of like punk bands in America, those it's like Black Flag or Ramones. So it could have did that or DK, I guess.
I would throw the Damned in there before. Well,
Before the Clash.
yeah, easy. I was never a big Clash guy.
I wasn't either. Like I like them, okay, but they were never like that wasn't a go-to. Like they were never like.
Well, the original game was Ramones or Sex Pistols.
Yeah, so-
but
Well,
you're saying Ramones.
Yeah,
though.
definitely Ramones.
And what's your reasoning for that?
Oh,
Well, I mean, Johnny Rotten, as far as a person, I love that guy. I love the shit he says and the things he does. When he bought that Beatles outfit and blew it up on the fucking TV show, and it's about the music, not about what they wore. Like he paid some ungodly amount of money for that. I can't remember who it was, John Lennon's shirt, something like that.
Oh,
And then
yeah, I don't know anything about that at all.
he had that MTV show for like a hot second, but it was so controversial. They're like, and meanwhile, look at what's on MTV now.
oh my god, it's fucking dreadful.
Yeah.
But yeah, him as a person and the shit that he says and does. But as far as from a musical standpoint, the Ramones were just every song was a good tap your hand or tap your foot, bang your head, sing along.
I'll buy that.
No look at me bullshit. Just we're gonna 1, 2, 3, 4 and go.
Yeah, it was definitely. Well, I guess they were style, but it wasn't style over substance.
Right. And,
Though I don't know if the Sex Pistols are totally style over substance.
yeah, but
because-
Malcolm McLaren put them together. I mean, it wasn't really a natural thing. Like the Ramones, they were just. It was. I don't know. It's just. I can't. There's.
It's no. This is the point of the
Yeah.
question.
I'm always going to say Ramones though. Always.
I knew that. You're the first fucking person when we started talking about it. I knew exactly where you were going to be, whether or not.
Yeah. Right on.
So, okay. My other question, I had 5.
Okay.
So, first record / tape that started you down your road of music snobbery.
That I actually purchased myself, or that I.
No, I don't think that would matter. Like if you got a fucking like that dub you said from Mike, like I think that counts.
Well, I could go way back because I learned how to operate my parents' turntable at like 4 or something like that, and they had like all the K-Tel compilations.
Yes.
So I heard like a lot of cool stuff on those, and I would play them myself, and then got heavy into the Bee Gees.
I don't know if I was expecting that answer.
Oh my God, me and my brother and my uncle were all like heavy into the Bee Gees.
I love
I
the
still
Bee
love
Gees.
Bee Gees.
I'm not saying that it's the, but I was just like, I was expecting
Right.
the Bee Gees.
But my parents were really young. They had me when they were 17. So in the 70s, my dad had like Flash in the Pan records and just like the Blues Brothers and just, goofy stuff like that, where my mom was like a big disco fan. She loved Donna Summer.
Fuck
Was
yeah.
her go-to, man. She loved it. But they would buy those K-Tel things because they were like, fucking $2 and you got to hear that's the new shit. But with my own money, the first thing I bought was Joan Jett, I Love Rock and Roll vinyl from Kmart. Man,
Nice.
that was my first purchase with my own earned money.
And then
And what was your reason for that as the pick?
Saw the video for I Love Rock and Roll. Fell in love with her. Oh,
Yeah.
I still want to get her fucking. She has a what is it? An Epiphone studio that they issued with her name on it,
that's cool.
and I want it. Want that. So anybody at Gibson that wants to give us stuff, I'll take a Joan Jett guitar.
Sure, that's
Yeah.
that's the first record I bought. So
Well, your third question, I don't really know if I understand that totally.
So then, well,
Wait, you don't understand?
So-
You don't understand something Curtis said? Get out.
oh my God, you shut the fuck up. You know me way
Dude,
too
this
well.
this is my whole existence fucking dealing with him for 35 years, is having to interpret his fucking mannerisms and
Yeah.
speech.
So when I met Music Snobbery, like, what was the record that sent you down the metal path? Like, was it Joan Jett, or was there like all of a sudden it was Iron Maiden, and that was the record that sent you down the path?
Well, none of that, because we got MTV from day one.
I know, I was always jealous.
Yeah, Lakeside was an early. We got cable in the 70s, late 70s. So we had.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I used to remember going to my dad's.
That's what they would do. They would pick huge neighborhoods as test market. That was their thing. You know, they would, where there's 380 trailers. Well, shit, bam. You know, we don't have to do a bunch of shit to see who's going to like what or whatever. Run a bunch of cable to do this and that.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, so we got MTV from day one, August 1st, 1981. And
the Buggles did it for you.
the first rotation, which I love, Trevor, I love the Buggles. That record's fucking amazing. People say, "Oh, one hit wonder." I'm like, dude, that you have no idea what that guy's done. Anyway, in rotation, in the early years was Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, AC/DC, Pat Benatar, who was, she was heavy. She had, Spider's an excellent guitar player.
Heartbreaker, dude.
Yeah,
That fucking
Plus,
that song was a rock.
Plus, I remember when they put that concert on MTV, they showed the concert in full of her in that black leotard with the no bra on, and Jesus Christ, man. But so that's what got me down the metal thing. And then when Quiet Riot hit, that's what sold me. Between the videos and his voice and then buying the record and hearing the little heavier stuff that didn't make it on the radio or on MTV, that's definitely what did it, was Quiet Riot.
That is crazy.
Okay.
So then my follow-up question to that, because we started talking about movies and shit and how they like thrash, and it was like that really didn't represent the culture.
No.
So what would be like how did it was basically what movie / TV show embodied that kind of energy? Ooh, see, this is a tough one.
I gotta think. I mean, Night Flight showed a lot of crazy shit.
And I was getting ready to say, because I remember getting a fucking tape from you with a bunch of Night Flight shit. Which was fucking awesome.
I gotta say, Another State of Mind is gonna be that's. I first saw it on Night Flight, and that blew me away.
I think that's how I saw it, is you recorded it. I think I had a
right. So even though you mentioned like what's like the most genuine, example, a lot of that movie's bullshit. Penelope Spheres is famous for that. She did it on Decline of the Western Civilization, especially part 2, the Metal Year. She staged a ton of that shit. Everybody thought that was it Chris Holmes that was in the pool.
Oh yeah, I just recently learned that whole thing was just like completely staged. Yeah,
it put a black mark on him forever. He was trying to set it straight. Like, look, man, this was all. But she told me to do this, and like Another State of Mind, the whole the punk rock church and all that shit is all bullshit.
Oh, really? Did not know that.
Not real. No. And what they did leave out was the best part of it, is where the Agnostic Front guys beat the shit out of Mike Ness in New York City. Like,
oh my God,
they missed that. Like, how do you miss that? I just recently saw a picture of Mike Ness and Roger together, and I made a comment. It was on Instagram. I made a comment about glad to see you two getting along after all these years in from the meeting in '81, because apparently they like beat him with chains, and I mean they really worked his ass over good.
Holy shit.
I think I remember like knowing that was a thing, but I didn't know if it was like true or not.
Yeah, and when you if you get the DVD of Another State of Mind and you listen to Mike Ness's commentary, he absolutely does not remember one fucking bit of any of it because he was so out of his fucking mind on drugs.
Oh, really?
Like, doesn't remember nothing. Like
No, he was fucking wrecked
Dude,
the whole time.
dude, having him do that audio commentary they might as well set someone's grandmother down and said, "Here, see what you think of this."
That actually would probably be fucking entertaining.
It is entertaining because that's what you think you're watching. Like, listen to him just go, yeah, I don't really remember that. That's what he just keeps saying over and over. But so set aside the bullshit part of it. The performances and the videos of those huge shows like that. I think it was a Vancouver show with that humongous circle pit.
Yeah.
And then the minor threat stuff. It's worth it just for the minor threat stuff. So I'm picking that.
Yeah, I haven't seen that in a really long time. I need to watch that again.
If you get the DVD, it sucks because they fucked up the audio and you can barely hear when they cut to someone in an interview. Like it's muffled.
Oh, really?
Yeah, subtitles make it tolerable, but it's still frustrating.
Gotcha. Well, the next question Curtis came up with is, what is the first thing that comes to mind when you think about Potty Mouth Records / Fuzzy Bunny?
Oh, that logo. Honey Pentagram. Or the I sold my soul to Satan shirt.
Nice.
I think of that maroon shirt that I have that has that on the front and then the bunny logo on the back. And that's the first thing I think of when somebody says potty mouth.
That's cool. Yeah, that's a good answer. And then
Thank you.
Curtis has the last question then.
Oh, I get it. Which one do you want?
I don't know them, so how am I going to come up with that?
Okay. You got to come up with, I don't know why it says most. Give us your most metal ice cream name you can come up with in the next 5 seconds.
The
Go.
most metal what?
Ice cream flavor.
Black blood strawberry. I don't know. What question is that?
So, for example, Curtis's was peach sells, but who's buying?
I'm not that witty. That's good. That's good. Jonathan and I already did the black metal McDonald's thing.
Oh, that's right.
That was fucking class. That was classic.
Yeah.
A Demu burger.
Dude, you know what's funny is how much of that little skit we did that ended up, there's like so many little parts of that they ended up sort of doing similar things in Metalocalypse.
Oh, really?
The cartoon, yeah. I think about that a lot when I'll see stuff on there. I'll be like, shit, we fucking thought of that joke like 15 years before this fucking cartoon. Did you never watch Metalocalypse?
Nah, I never watched it.
Oh, really?
I don't. I watch documentaries and just basically movies.
Oh, dude,
but
you would love Metalocalypse.
I don't do TV shows. I can't commit myself to a TV show because I've done it before and they've ended them without ending them. If you know what I mean.
Oh, fucking hell.
Like Deadwood, they canceled it. I was like, what?
Oh, that was a shitty fucking ending.
Yeah, and then they came up with a movie at the end to kind of tie it up, but still at the time there was no talk of anything, and I was just like, you can't fucking end it now. And then I devoted my entire, seemed like life to that show Lost, and then it got to the end, and I'm like, come on, really? That should come up with of all that crazy shit.
Yeah, no, that show ended so bad, like it.
So yeah, so that sealed the deal for me. I won't do it anymore. I don't watch any of this, like these fucking Game of Thrones or none of that shit. I don't watch none of it.
Gotcha. Well, you would like Metalocalypse, but based on what you just said, you would be bummed on it because they got to season 4 and then it got canceled and they never like really finished the story. So, but they're actually bringing it back though.
They did that with Deadwood too, but I didn't really give a fuck at that point.
Yeah, so they're gonna do like I think 2 or 3 episodes to like seal up the show and everything, but
it'll probably be a letdown. So
yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll definitely watch it. Dude. That's one of my favorite cartoons of all time.
Right on.
See, I got old. I can't watch cartoons anymore. I can't even watch the Harley Quinn cartoon. I can't do it right now. It's like,
gotcha.
Do you still have that tattooed on your leg?
Yeah.
That you did yourself?
Yeah.
I still have a tramp stamp you did. How about that?
You have to look at your ass all night. Yes.
Before the term was even coined. A
OG.
Danzig tramp stamp.
You're an OGTS.
And it's a Danzig tattoo.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Oh, based on the best thing is where it's located. I can't see it, so forget I even have a tramp stamp. I've probably been called a lot of things. Never a tramp, but
Well, I think we're gonna have to. I mean, we were probably going to end up doing this anyway, but I think we're going to have to just have you back on at another point for like a part 2, because we touched on a lot of stuff I was hoping to cover, but I mean, we probably are going to need to have you come back on 1 or 2 more times to really cover everything we need to cover with you.
yeah, I mean, I got a lot of shit to talk about, so that's cool. I'm honored. I'd be glad to.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we'll definitely have you back on, and because I mean, we need
I'm
to
stoked.
get into bands you were in and just everything. I don't know, just what we accomplished today was perfect, because I was curious about origin stuff of you guys meeting that I didn't know anything about, so that was cool for me.
Yeah, cool.
I kind of think it was like the new Dune movie. We've laid the groundwork, and now we can go forth.
Yeah, totally.
yeah. Nice analogy. Yeah. It's exactly what it
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Well, yeah. Well, with that being
fuck.
said, I think we should wrap up for now, and then we'll revisit at a later time.
Cool, man.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me on.
This is great.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Hopefully my kids aren't too embarrassed
Why?
since they listen.
Woohoo.
Later.
See you.
This Pottycast was brought to you by Potty Mouth Records. Contact us at pottymouthrecords@gmail.com and find us on the web at pottymouthrecords.rocks. That's .rocks. Top that, bitch!